Nepal's Home Ministry directs officials to strengthen election code monitoring central command post formed to ensure fair, transparent and credible elections. Residents of Nepal's Kanchanpur demand settlement of land and shelter crisis, say basic livelihood takes priority over development issues. Surge in violent robberies threatens Kathmandu Valley ahead of elections. Escaped inmates and stretched police resources fueled organized crime spike. Ukrainian and Russian negotiator holds second day of U.S. mediated talks in Abu Dhabi. U.S. envoy Witkoff says both sides agreed fresh prisoner swap. China refuses to join nuclear arms talks. Such remarks come as expiry of the U.S.-Russia New START treaty triggers fears of renewed global arms race. And Nepal beats Canada by 6 wickets in T20 World Cup warm-up match to face England in its World Cup opener on Sunday. Good evening, I'm Swiksha Rajak and this is NTV World Primetime News coming up to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Across the globe, it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in details. Nepal's Ministry of Home Affairs has issued a directive instructing Assistant Chief District Officers in all 77 districts to effectively carry out their responsibilities as Election Code of Conduct monitoring officers. According to Ministry spokesperson Ananda Kafle, the officials have been directed to take necessary measures to prevent possible violations of the Election Code of Conduct during the election period and to regularly submit reports on their activities to the ministry. The Election Commission has earlier appointed Assistant Chief District Officers in all districts as monitoring officers to ensure effective implementation of the Election Code of Conduct 2025 at the district level. The ministry has also formed a central command post coordinated by the Home Secretary to ensure that the upcoming House of Representatives election is conducted in a clean, fair, transparent and credible manner. The Election Commission of Nepal has issued the Vehicle Permit Work Procedure 2082 to regulate the use of vehicles during election campaigning and on voting day. The procedure aims to ensure fair, managed and regulated use of vehicles by political parties, candidates and their representatives during the election period. Under the rules approved on 3rd February, concerned parties must apply in the prescribed format to the relevant election officer to obtain vehicle permits, which will be issued within specified limits. Candidates for the House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly elections are allowed to use up to 2 light vehicles, including 2, 3 or 4-wheeled vehicles, whether electric or mechanically powered. In areas where vehicles cannot operate, the use of up to 4 horses is permitted. For local level elections, candidates for mayor or deputy mayor or metropolitan and sub-metropolitan cities may also use up to 2 light vehicles. Residents of Kanchanpur 2, a constituency of Nepal's far western province, are raising urgent calls for long overdue resettlement, saying basic needs outweigh promises of development. Communities displayed during 2001 expansion of Sukla Fata Wildlife Reserve, a protected area known for its own tiger and rhino populations, have lived in temporary shelters for 24 years, often moving between relatives' homes or makeshift huts near forest edges. Many now occupy private land and Mahendranagar, the district headquarters, demanding permanent rehabilitation. They say their political support will go to candidates who address these unresolved grievances. Kanchanpur 2, the district's largest constituency with 109,574 registered voters and 19 candidates, faces persistent challenges including landlessness, unregulated settlements, human-wildlife conflict and stalled resettlement of reserve-affected communities. Violent robberies and organized crime are surging across Kathmandu Valley. Authorities link many incidents to prisoners who escaped during the Gen Z protests and are taking advantage of police stretched for election duties. In addition to the election deployment of security personnel, the CCTV coverage that Nepali police had across major cities including capital Kathmandu is near obsolete. According to Nepal Police, of the 1,500 total CCTV cameras vandalized during the 2 days of protests, only 800 have been resold so far. Though cases of robbery and theft has visibly increased in major cities, Nepal Police claims that cases as compared to last fiscal year is slightly lower. More news coming up. Let's take a short break now. Welcome back. Now we have Nepal's 15-day waterbird census held in January counted 90,688 birds of 89 species, which is down from 96,565 birds of 94 species in 2025. The census, part of the Asian waterbird census coordinated by Wetlands International since 1987, aims to track migratory and waterbird populations, accesses wetland health and promote conservation awareness. Led by the Department of National Parks and Wildlife Conservation with the Nepal's Ornithologist Association, the survey covered 18 major wetlands and several smaller sites. Experts say the decline to wetland encroachment, habitat loss, invasive species and excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Major census sites include Kosi Tapu, Chitwan, Bake, Bardia, Suklafat, Rara and lakes across Kathmandu, Pokhara and Lumini areas. The much-anticipated Phagunanda trekking route in eastern Nepal's Ilam district is being much anticipated. The project, expected to come into operation by 2028, promises a rich cultural, spiritual and natural experience. Rojina Rai with our local correspondent Sujan Timalsina from Ilam brings more.
Construction of the 56-kilometer Phalgunanda trekking route, primarily in the eastern districts of Nepal, Ilam and Pasthar, has been accelerated. The trekking route is expected to be complete by 2028, with construction particularly intensified along the streets from Maipokhari to Chintapu. The trail, starting from Fidim in Pasthar, was surveyed last year. The project is a joint initiative of the federal, provincial and local governments. Once completed, the Phalgunanda trek will connect Maipokhari, Chintapu and Sandakpur, offering a rich cultural and spiritual experience through the scenic landscapes of eastern Nepal. Named after the revered Kirat leader and national luminary Phalgunanda Lingdil, the trail is expected to attract visitors interested in both spiritual and cultural tourism.
हाम्रो सन्दकपुरमा 15.6 किलोमिटर जम्मा रहेछ हैन यो पाली लगभग हामी 7.5 किलोमिटर जति यो पाली हाम्रो बन्छ यो ट्रेल अनि परिधिको संरचना पनि हामी लगभग 2-3 किलोमिटरको अराउन्डमा हामी बनाउने छौं.
The trail is expected to attract visitors interested in both spiritual and cultural tourism. Construction is currently underway in 4 sections. with the 7 kilometers planned for development within Ilam district. Local consumer committees are overseeing 3 trail construction and rehabilitation projects, along with 1 peripheral infrastructure initiative. According to Sam Rai, Secretary of the Construction Committee, the route will create local employment opportunities, support homestay business, and foster broader community development. In addition to promoting religious tourism, the enthusiasm of the locals in expediting the construction of the natural trails comes amid track records of delays in most of the projects in the country. The project is a rare example of all 3 tiers of government's involvement, along with the financial aid from the Swiss government. Rosina Rai with the local correspondent Susan Timisina from Ilam reporting for NTV World.
Nepal's Department of Commerce, Supplies and Consumer Protection has directed producers, importers and distributors to stop sudden and unjustified price hikes in daily consumer goods. In a press statement issued on Wednesday, the department instructed all concerned parties to control unnecessary price increases and maintain a competitive and fair market system. It said major producers, importers and distributors of food, grains and edible oil have been told to supply goods without making unfair profits and to provide relief to consumers by addressing unnatural price hikes. The department said its serious attention has been drawn to consumer complaints and media reports regarding abnormal price increases and shortages of essential items, including edible oil, cooking gas and staple rice. As part of this effort, joint market monitoring is being carried out to inspect producers, sellers, importers, stockpilers and service providers involved in essential and daily consumable goods across the country, says the department. International updates coming up. Let's take a short break. Welcome back. Now an international update. Ukrainian and Russian negotiator held a second day of U.S.-mediated talks in the United Arab Emirates aimed at ending Moscow's nearly 4-year invasion of Ukraine. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff said the 2 sides agreed on a new prisoner exchange, calling the talks productive while emphasizing that substantial work remains to bridge wider differences. No details, however, being released on the number of prisoners involved or the timing of the exchange. Core disputes including territorial control, security guarantees and ceasefire arrangements remained unresolved, according to the officials. The Abu Dhabi talks follow earlier U.S.-brokered contacts and come as fighting continues along the front lines in Ukraine, underscoring the difficulty of translating limited diplomatic gains into a broader political settlement. Now, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has apologized to the victims of the convicted late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, saying sorry for having believed Madeline's lies and appointing him. Speaking in East Sussex, the Prime Minister adds that he will pursue the truth and will do everything with our power and in the interest of justice to ensure accountability is delivered.
I am sorry. Sorry for what was done to you. Sorry that so many people with power failed you. Sorry for having believed Mandelson's lies and appointed him. We will pursue the truth. We will uphold the integrity of public life. And we will do everything within our power and in the interests of justice to ensure accountability is delivered.
China rejected calls to enter talks on a new nuclear treaty after a United States-Russian agreement expired on ending decades of restrictions on how many warheads the two powers can deploy. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian, during a regular media briefing, said China's nuclear capabilities are of a totally different scale as those of the United States and Russia, will not participate in nuclear disarmament negotiations at this stage. The U.S. has said any new nuclear agreement would have to include China, whose nuclear arsenal is rapidly expanding, but international efforts to draw Beijing to the negotiating table have so far failed. Russia and the U.S. together control more than 80% of the world's nuclear warheads. China's nuclear arsenal, meanwhile, is growing faster than any country's by about 100 new warheads a year since 2023. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, China is estimated to have at least 600 nuclear warheads. SIPRI says well below the 800 each at which Russian and the U.S. were capped under New START. Campaigners meanwhile have warned that the expiry of the New START treaty could trigger a global arms race, urging nuclear power to enter negotiations. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump said that he would not have picked former Federal Reserve official Kevin Warsh as the central bank's next chief if Warsh were not in step with lowering interest rates. In an interview with NBC News, Trump said Warsh understands that he wished for him to cut rates.
Fed pick understand that you want him to lower interest rates?
Oh, I think he does, but I think he wants to anyway. I mean, if he came in and said, I want to raise them,
if he said that, he wouldn't have gotten the job.
He would not have gotten the job, no.
Is there any doubt in your mind that interest rates are going to be lowered?
Not much.
Why? How can you say that?
I just think they're going to be lowered. I mean, they should.
Is your new Fed pick on board with that?
We're way high. Okay, we're way high in interest. We have now, with me and with all the money, I've always been good at money. And with all the money coming into our country, we're a rich country again.
Now, Spain's emergency services rescued residents from floodwaters in parts of southern Spain after heavy rain forced thousands of people to evacuate their homes. The flooding was triggered by Storm Leonardo, which brought more than 40 centimeters of rain in 24 hours to parts of Spain and neighboring Portugal, overwhelming rivers, roads, and drainage systems. Regional emergency services said rescue teams used boats and high-clearance vehicles to reach stranded residents, while local governments ordered evacuation in low-lying areas as water levels continued to rise. In Portugal, authorities confirmed that one person was killed as a result of the floods, while no fatalities were immediately reported in Spain. Storm Leonardo is the latest in a series of extreme weather events to hit southern Europe, where scientists say climate change is increasing the intensity and frequency of heavy rainfall. More news coming up now. Let's take a short break here. Welcome back. You are watching NTV Primetime News. Now, we have a Chinese team has unveiled a full-size humanoid robot capable of running at 10 meters per second, thus outspringing most humans. The robot, called Bolt, named after Jamaican sprint legend Usain Bolt, stands 175 centimeters tall and weighs 75 kilograms. It is designed to mimic human proportions while pushing the physical boundaries of bipedal movement. This achievement marks a significant breakthrough in robot locomotion control, dynamic balance, and high-performance drive systems, according to the developers. Wang Hongtao, head of the institute and founder of MirrorMe, and the red-painted metallic android competed against each other on treadmills. A released video clip shows that while the robot took shorter strides, it was able to move at a faster cadence than Wang. The team previously set a speed record for quadruped robots in 2025 with its Black Panther, which reached a speed of more than 10 meters per second. Now it's Pokemon's first ever permanent theme park. Pokepark Kanto has opened in Tokyo, marking a major expansion of the globally popular franchise as Japan experiences a record surge in inbound tourism. The park is located within Yomiuri Land, Tokyo's largest amusement park, and is designed to attract both domestic visitors and international fans of the Pokemon brand, which was launched nearly 3 decades ago and has grown into one of the world's most valuable media franchises. The opening comes as Japan's tourism sector continues to rebound strongly, with the government reporting record visitor numbers driven by a weaker yen and pent-up demand following pandemic-era travel restrictions. Authorities and businesses have increasingly turned to pop culture attractions to draw tourists beyond traditional sightseeing destinations. Pokemon, which originated as a video game series in 1996, has since expanded into animation, films, merchandise, and mobile gaming with a fan base spanning multiple generations worldwide. Amsterdam's Rijksmuseum is opening a new exhibition, Metamorphosis, showcasing the influence of 2,000-year-old epic on artists from Titan to René Magritte. The exhibition brings together 80 works from 50 museums and collections worldwide, according to museum's director Takao Debitz, highlighting the enduring impact of epic on European and global art over the centuries. Metamorphosis opens as part of the museum's ongoing effort to blend historical masterpieces with contemporary perspectives, offering visitors both scholarship and immense visual storytelling. Now, the population of Caribbean reef shark, classified as endangered on the International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) Red List, has declined across the parts of the Caribbean region. The species decline comes amid broader environmental pressures affecting the Caribbean Sea, where coral reefs, which account for about 10% of the world's total coral reef systems, are also deteriorating rapidly. According to a study by the Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network, hard coral cover in the Caribbean fell by 48% between 1980 and 2024. Scientists attribute the losses to a combination of climate change, rising sea temperatures, pollution, overfishing, and coastal development. Marine experts warn that the decline of coral reefs threatens biodiversity and fisheries while also undermining natural coastal protection. Moving on to sports updates. Nepal has registered a 6-wicket victory over Canada in its second warm-up match of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Indian city of Chennai. Chasing a target of 162, Nepal reached 162 for 4 in 18 overs with 12 balls to spare, riding on aggressive battling by Asif Sheikh and Sandeep Johra. Asif top scored with 58 off just 29 balls, striking 6 fours and 3 sixes, while Johra provided solid support with a fluent 44 of 30 deliveries. Earlier, Canada posted 161 for 6 in its allotted 20 overs after opting to bat Navneet. Dhaliwal scored 41, while wicketkeeper Shreyas Mova remained unbeaten on 38 off 19 balls to give Canada a competitive total. The win followed Nepal's 7-wicket victory over the UAE earlier this week and marked a strong end to their warm-up fixtures ahead of the World Cup. Nepal, meanwhile, will open its T20 World Cup campaign against England on Sunday at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. Canada defeated the Czech Republic 10-5 in the curling mixed doubles, the first competition of the 2026 Winter Olympic Games, on Thursday. Meanwhile, one day before the opening ceremony of the Milan Cortina 2026 Winter Olympic Games, organizers installed the Olympic cauldron beneath Milan's Arch of Peace and unveiling a design inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's iconic knot motifs. The installation marks one of the final steps in preparations for the Games, which officially began Friday with the opening ceremony in Milan. The cauldron is set to be lit during the ceremony, symbolizing the start of the international sporting event that will feature competitions across Italy's Lombardy and Veneto regions. The Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympic Games will feature approximately 3,500 athletes from 93 countries competing in 116 events across 16 disciplines from February 6 to 22.3. Now we need to wrap up with the headlines. Nepal's Home Ministry directs officials to strengthen election code monitoring. Central command post formed to ensure fair, transparent and credible elections. Residents of Nepal's Kanchanpur demand settlement of land and shelter crisis, say basic livelihood takes priority over development issues. Surge in violent robberies threatens Kathmandu Valley ahead of elections. Escaped inmates and stretched police resources fuel organized crime spike. Ukrainian and Russian negotiator holds second day of U.S. mediated talks in Abu Dhabi. U.S. envoy Witkoff says both sides agreed fresh prisoner swap. China refuses to join nuclear arm talks. Such remarks comes from expiry of the U.S.-Russia New START treaty triggers fear of renewed global arms. And Nepal beats Canada by 6 wickets in T20 World Cup warm-up match to face England in its World Cup opener on Sunday. That's all for the moment here on NTV World's Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Suviksha Rajak. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories
bloom. When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
सिमरौनगढ दरबार खुल्ला इतिहास, कला र संस्कृतिको एउटा संग्रहालय। इतिहास, सभ्यता र कलाको रहस्य बोकेको सहर सिमरौनगढ। एउटा छुट्टै इतिहास रच्न सफल सहर सिमरौनगढ। ऐतिहासिक, सांस्कृतिक र पुरातात्विक महत्व बोकेको सिमरौनगढ दरबार मध्य प्रदेशको बारा जिल्लामा अवस्थित सिमरौनगढ नगरपालिकामा पर्दछ। बारा जिल्लाको सदरमुकाम कलैयाबाट 20 किलोमिटर दक्षिण पूर्वमा रहेको सिमरौनगढ नगरपालिकाको कार्यालयबाट करिब 500 मिटर दक्षिण पश्चिम गएपछि सिमरौनगढ दरबार पुग्न सकिन्छ। सिमरौनगढको सम्बन्ध सिम्बलको वंशसँग रहेको तथ्य नेपालमा प्राप्त सबभन्दा पुरानो वंशावली गोपालर वंशावलीले प्रस्ट्याएको छ। सो वंशावलीमा यस स्थललाई सिमरावनगढ भनी उल्लेख छ, जसको अर्थ हुन्छ सिमलको वनमा रहेको किल्ला। सिमलको वन रहेको यो क्षेत्र सिमरावनगढबाट अपभ्रंश हुँदै सिमरौनगढ भएको मान्यता छ।
यो सिमरौनगढ नाउँ भने यहाँ पहिले सिम्बलको खाली रुख यहाँ सिम्बलको थियो। यो सिम्बलको वन भन्नु पर्यो नि, यहाँ सिम्बलको वन थियो पहिले। यसको माझमा बीचमा नि यो गढ थियो, किला थियो यो गढ। त्यस कारणले सिम्बलगढ भनेर अपभ्रंश भई आएर सिमरौनगढ भन्ने हो। यसको सिमरौनगढको सिम्बलगढको अपभ्रंश हो यो सिमरौनगढ।
कुनै समय एक सुरक्षित र सम्पन्न राजधानी रहेको सिम्रौनगढ दरबारलाई बलिया अग्ला चक्रव्यूह आकारका पर्खालले घेरिएको थियो। तत्कालीन राजा वीरेन्द्रबाट यस क्षेत्रको अवलोकन पश्चात पुरातत्व विभाग र इटालियन सरकारको तत्वावधानमा सिम्रौनगढको उत्खनन गरियो। उत्खननका क्रममा कर्णाट कालका पुरातात्विक, धार्मिक, सांस्कृतिक अवशेषहरू फेला पर्यो। सिम्रौनगढका पुराना अवशेषहरू आज पनि यत्रतत्र पाइन्छ। यहाँ डढेको चामल, माटोका भाँडा बर्तन, गरगहनाहरू पाइन्छ।
यहाँको धार्मिक इतिहास र पुरातत्व विभागको त सबै संरचना छँदैछ। यो मन्दिर छ, पुरानो मूर्ति छ, डहेको चावल पाइन्छ, कंगन कालीको स्थान छ, तलेजु भवानीको अहिले शिलाको बाकस राखेका छ, त्यो पनि छँदैछ। चारैतिर सुन बिखरेको पनि पाइन्छ। यो सबै पाइँदाखेरि त पुरातत्व भएन।
यस क्षेत्रको कचरवा गाउँमा माकराकृतिको टुटी भएको धारो, हरिपुर गाविसमा रहेको ढुङ्गाको बाकस निकै रहस्यमय छ। जति खन्दै जाँदा झन भित्र भासिनु यस बाकसको विशेषता हो। अत्यन्त कलात्मक रहेको यो बाकसको बाहिरी भाग मात्रै देखिन्छ, बाँकी भाग जमिनमा गाडिएको छ। स्थानीयले यसलाई बाकस, तिजोरी, सन्दुक भने पनि वास्तवमा यो के हो अहिलेसम्म पत्ता लाग्न सकेको छैन।
वो जमाना के शिवाजी महाराज के दरबार के तिजोरी है, पत्थर हो, राज उल्टन हो गए, पत्थर हो गए, ताला कुंडी सब बंद बा, में ताला बा, कुंडी बा, सब सहित बा।
बाकसको नजिकै खम्बा आकारको कालो ढुङ्गा छ। खम्बा सामान्य देखिए पनि 10-15 जना मिलेर पनि यसलाई टसमस समेत गर्न सक्दैनन्। ढुङ्गाको खम्बा झन रहस्यमय छ। स्थानीयका अनुसार यस खम्बालाई बाहिर निकाल्न खोज्दा यो झन जमिनमा भासिने गर्दछ। यो क्षेत्रमा बाढी आए पनि यो खम्बा डुब्दैन। यस प्रकार सिम्रौनगढ क्षेत्र पुरातात्विक दृष्टिकोणले समेत महत्वपूर्ण छ। सिम्रौनगढको सांस्कृतिक सम्पदाको दोस्रो स्थानमा यहाँका मन्दिरहरूलाई लिन सकिन्छ। सिम्रौनगढको बीच भागमा स्थापना गरिएको कंकाली मन्दिर ईंटद्वारा निर्माण गरिएको शिखर शैलीमा छ। मन्दिर चारैतिर चतुष्कोणाकारको भवनको बीचमा शिखर उठेर माथिसम्म चुलिएको छ। मन्दिरको चारैतिर खुल्ला गुम्बजाकारको प्रवेशद्वार निर्माण गरिएको छ। मन्दिरमा रहेका कंकालीको मूर्ति कालो प्रस्तरमा कुँदिएको छ। मूर्तिको गोलाकार अनुहार, ठूला आँखा, पुष्ट छातीले त्यस बेलाको विशेषतालाई दर्शाउँछ। देवीको गालामा हार, कानमा गोलाकार कुण्डल, कम्मरमा हार जडेको च्याप्टो पेटी छ। शान्त सौम्य मुद्रामा रहेको यो मूर्तिले कलामा छुट्टै स्थान ओगटेको छ।
यो सिम्रौनगढ भनेको कंकाली स्थान जो कि दुनियाँको सबभन्दा शक्तिपीठ राम्रो, जहाँ बलि नै चढ्दैन। यो श्री कंकालीमा सबै शक्तिपीठमा बलि चढ्छ, तर कंकालीमा स्थानमा बलि चढ्दैन। त्यस्तो विशाल मन्दिर, अनि यस्तो विशाल मन्दिर राम जानकीको मन्दिर यहाँ दुईटा छ। अनि यसको अलावा पनि यहाँ नानदेवले यानि कि 1097 ईस्वीमा सिम्रौनगढलाई राजधानी बनाएको यो नानदेव हो। नानदेवको 7औं पुस्ता जगह, त्यसमा हरसिंहदेव, गङदेव, रामदेव सबै 7औं पुस्ता हो। अन्तिम पुस्ता चाहिँ हरसिंहदेव हो। हरसिंहदेवको पालामा ग्यासुद्दिन तुगलकले यहाँ आक्रमण गरेर सबै ध्वस्त पारिदिएको थियो। यस्तो यस्तो पूर्वाधारहरू छ, पनि हाम्रो सिम्रौनगढमा कसैको नजर छैन। यहाँ त म भन्छु कि यसलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राख्यो भने सबभन्दा राम्रो हुन्छ। यहाँको नेताहरूले यसै माध्यममा भन्छु कि सिम्रौनगढलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राख्नु जरुरी छ।
यहाँ रामनवमीको दिन ठूलो मेला लाग्ने गर्दछ। सामान्य रूपमा भक्तजनहरू आउने क्रम दिनहुँ नै रहन्छ। अहिले पनि यो क्षेत्रमा कंकाली माताको ठूलो महिमा छ भनिन्छ। त्यसै गरी चिताएको फल देवीले पूरा गर्छिन् भन्ने जनविश्वास समेत रहेको छ।
पहिलादेखि अहिले यो सालमा धेरै पर्यटक, म 2-4वटा यो कामको सिलसिलामा बसेको थियो। शनिबारको दिनौँ 1000 देखि 1500 मान्छे बाहिरबाट आउँछ। अब त्यसको लागि पनि हामी व्यवस्थापन गरिराखेका छौँ। त्यहाँ एउटा पूजा अर्चना गर्नको लागि बेलुका बिहानै आरती, जस्तै हरिद्वारमा तपाईँ गयो हो सक्नु होला भले हेर्नु होला, बिहानै र बेलुका गङ्गाको आरती हुन्छ। त्यहाँ पनि कंकाली मन्दिरमा हामी आरतीको एउटा छिटै व्यवस्था गर्छौँ। अहिले त 2टा बोट पनि राखेका छौँ। मान्छेहरू पर्यटक आउँछ भने त्यसलाई घुम्नको लागि, त्यो पानीमा विहार गर्नको लागि, राम्रो वातावरणको लागि आउँदो दिनमा एउटा स्टिमर किनेर त्यहाँ राख्ने हामी पनि प्लानिङ गरेका छौँ।
कंकाली मन्दिर प्राङ्गणमा विभिन्न देवी देवताका अन्य मन्दिरहरू पनि रहेका छन्। प्राङ्गणमा रहेका मानसाराम बाबाको मन्दिर 3 मिटर उचाइ र 5.47 मिटरको चतुर्कोणाकारमा निर्माण गरिएको छ। मन्दिरभित्र मानसाराम बाबाको समाधि स्थल छ। समाधि अगाडि एक जोर खराउ छ, जसलाई मानसा बाबाको खराउ भनी पूजा गरिन्छ। प्राङ्गणमा शिव, पार्वती, हनुमान, विष्णु, विश्वकर्माको मन्दिर रहेका छन्।
कंकाली मन्दिर त धेरै पुरानो इतिहास बोकेको मन्दिर हो। त्यो मन्दिरको प्राङ्गणमा तपाईको कंकाली मन्दिर, मनसा बाबा मन्दिर, तपाईको विष्णु मन्दिर, तपाईको यो धेरै मन्दिरहरू छन्।
कंकाली मन्दिरदेखि करिब 1.5 माइलको पश्चिम दूरीमा रहेको छ रानीवास, जहाँ राम जानकीको मन्दिर छ। जङ्गबहादुर राणाका छोरा जीत जङले विक्रम सम्मत 1935मा आमा हिरण्य कुमारी सती जाने बेलामा व्यक्त गरेको इच्छा बमोजिम यो मन्दिरको निर्माण भएको थियो, जुन यहाँको घण्टामा समेत उल्लेख छ। मूल मन्दिर भने 3 तहको पेटीमाथि बनेको छ। मन्दिरभित्र राम, सीता र लक्ष्मणका धातुका प्रतिमाहरू प्रतिष्ठापित छन्। अगाडि जङ्गबहादुर, हिरण्य कुमारी लगायत परिवारका सदस्यहरूको प्रतिमा रहेका छन्।
पहिला 2224 को बेलादेखि यहाँ राजा शिवसिंहको पालीमा यो राम जानकी मन्दिर थियो र त्यसपछि नानदेवजी पनि आउनुभयो, त्यो उहाँको पालीमा पनि यहाँ राम जानकी मन्दिर र हाम्रो जङ्गबहादुर महाराजज्यू 1838मा आएर हेभन्दा 9 हात अग्लो मन्दिर काठको नै बनाउनु भयो। त्यो प्रमाणै छ, आजसम्म इटमा लेखेर राखेको छ। र त्यसपछि 1935मा हाम्रो जङ्गबहादुरको कान्छो छोरो जितजङ भनेर उहाँले नै बनाउनु भएको छ। उहाँको शिला यो जङ्गबहादुर महाराजको, उहाँको पत्नी, 2टा छोरी र एउटा कान्छो छोरो।
जङ्गबहादुर राणा जङ्गबहादुर पहिले यहाँ शिकार खेल्न आउनुहुन्थ्यो। और शिकार खेल्दा खेल्दै यहाँ एउटा बासको रूपमा चाहिँ शिकार खेल्ने, यहाँ बास बस्ने, अनि फेरि जाने, फेरि इसमें बास बस्ने, शिकार खेल्ने। अब यहाँबाट जाँदाखेरि पत्रहट्टामा उहाँको मृत्यु भयो जङ्गबहादुरको। अनि छोरो थियो जगतजङ। अब त्यसको बुवाको नाउँमा पनि यो मन्दिर निर्माण गरिदियो। यो मन्दिर विशाल मन्दिर त्यो उनको छोरोले बनायो।
मन्दिरको प्राङ्गण वरिपरि 2 तलामा चतुष्कोणाकारका धर्मशाला बनेका छन्। मन्दिर निर्माणमा त्यहाँका भग्नावशेषहरू प्रयोग भएको छ। समय समयमा प्राप्त भएको मूर्तिले सिमरनगढको महत्वलाई झन बढाएको छ। यहाँका मूर्तिकलाका रचनाहरूले सिमरनगढको सांस्कृतिक समृद्धिलाई पुष्टि गर्दछ। यहाँको मूर्तिकलाले आर्थिक रूपले समृद्ध यो राज्यमा कला र साहित्यले भरपूर उन्नति गर्ने मौका पाएको स्पष्ट हुन्छ। केही वर्ष अगाडि पुरातत्व विभागको सक्रियतामा कंकाली मन्दिर परिसरका मूर्तिहरूलाई मन्दिर परिसरमै घर बनाई संग्रहित गरिएको छ। त्यसै गरी सिमरनगढका केही मूर्ति र दरबारका अवशेषलाई राष्ट्रिय संग्रहालय छाउनीमा संग्रहित गरिएको छ। सिमरनगढको तोरणद्वारको टुक्रा संग्रहालयको भित्री गेटमै राखिएको छ। यस क्षेत्रमा अनेकन पोखरी र इनारहरू रहेका छन्, जसमध्ये इसरा, झरौखरा, राजाबादा, मनहरवा, आमवा, हथाइया प्रमुख छन्। इसारा पोखरी कंकाली मन्दिरको अगाडि छ। यो पोखरीको नाम राजा शिवसिंहकी रानी इसाराको नामबाट राखिएको छ। रानीवास मन्दिरको 1 किलोमिटर दूरीमा दक्षिणतर्फ खजहरी गाउँ छ। कर्णाट वंशी राजाहरूले खजाना राख्ने ठाउँ भएकाले यस ठाउँको नाम खजहनी भएको जनविश्वास छ। सो ठाउँमा अहिले पनि खेत, कुलो, माछा पोखरी खन्ने क्रममा पुरातात्विक वस्तु तथा मूर्ति भेट्न सकिन्छ। शान्ति, ऐश्वर्य र करुणाले धपक्क बलेको अलौकिक भाव र मुस्कानयुक्त चिल्ला काला ढुङ्गामा कुँदिएका मूर्तिहरूले यहाँको कलाको स्वतन्त्र र मौलिक शैलीलाई प्रस्तुत गर्दछ। मूर्तिमा पाइने आवरण र आभूषणले त छन् भक्ति रस र सौन्दर्य रस प्रदान गराउन सफल छ। मूर्तिहरूमा भाव अभिव्यक्तिको जुन मार्मिकता प्रदर्शित छ त्यसको जति प्रशंसा गरे पनि पूर्ण हुँदैन। अथाह पर्यटकीय सम्भावना बोकेको ऐतिहासिक र धार्मिक धरोहर सिमरनगढ दरबारसम्म पुग्नका लागि जनप्रतिनिधिहरू निर्वाचित भएर आएसँगै बाटोको सहज व्यवस्था भएको छ। सडक सुविधाका लागि नगरले पहल गरेसँगै आगन्तुकलाई केही सहज भएको छ।
मन्दिरको फुटपाथ निर्माण गरिराखेका छ। मन्दिरको फुटपाथ निर्माणमा तपाईको ब्लक लगाएर त्यो सौन्दर्यीकरण मन्दिरको भविष्य बाहिरबाट जुन पर्यटक आउँछ त्यो राम्रो कसरी हेर्न सकिन्छ, त्यसको आउने जाने केही कठिनाई हुँदैन। त्यहाँ बस्नको लागि, आउने जाने हेर्नको लागि त्यो कंकाली मन्दिरमा गरिराखेका छ।
सिमरनगढका बारेमा अहिलेसम्म स्वदेशी र विदेशी पुरातत्वविदद्वारा धेरै अनुसन्धान भएका छन्। केही अनुसन्धानहरूले सिम्रोनगढ कुनै बेला दक्षिण एसियाका समुन्नत राज्यहरू मध्येको एक राज्य तिरहुतको राजधानी रहेको प्रमाणित भइसकेको छ। तर उत्खनन हुन बाँकी नै रहेकाले तत्कालीन राजधानी सिम्रोनगढका राजाहरूले राखेका आधिकारिक अभिलेख फेला पर्न सकेका छैनन्। तर उनीहरूका पालामा बनेका पोखरी, मूर्ति, कंकालिनी मन्दिर, रानीवास दरबार लगायतका सामग्रीहरू अहिले पनि साक्षीको रूपमा रहेका छन्। यहाँ टाढा टाढाबाट बास बस्न आउने पर्यटकहरूका लागि भने राम्रो होटल अथवा आवास गृहको अभाव छ। सुविधा सम्पन्न होटल, होमस्टे निर्माणका लागि सिम्रोनगढ उद्योग वाणिज्य संघले आवश्यक पहल गरिरहेको छ।
त्यो बस्नको लागि त अहिले तत्काल 2वटा होटल छ, अरू पनि बनाउनको लागि सोचिरहेछ यहाँको व्यापारीहरूले, बनाउँछ भविष्यमा पनि। अनि यहाँ एउटा के छ हजुर कि हाम्रो सिम्रोनगढमा भारतबाट मेन आउने चाहिँ भारतबाट नै हो बढी पर्यटक। त्यसको लागि पहिला यहाँ छोटी भन्सार थिएन, भर्खर हामी यो 1 महिना जति पहिला सञ्चालन गराएछौँ। तर सरकारसँग पनि पहल गरेका छौँ कि कम्तीमा यहाँ मूल भन्सार होस्। मूल भन्सार भइदिएको भए गाडीको आवत जावत अनि चाहिँ इन्ट्री गरेर होस् या भन्सार गरेर होस्, त्यो हिसाबले पनि यहाँ आउँछ। सरकारले पनि राजस्व उठ्छ त्यसबाट, अनि देशको आम्दानी पुँजी हुन्छ, हाम्रो सिम्रोनगढको पनि विकास हुन्छ, अनि पर्यटकहरू पनि बढी यहाँ आवत जावत गर्छ।
यस क्षेत्रको संरक्षण र प्रवर्धनका निम्ति बृहत योजनाको आवश्यकता देखिन्छ। कला संस्कृतिको अंकुत भण्डारको रूपमा रहेको यस क्षेत्रको उत्खनन र न्यायोचित मूल्याङ्कन नगरिएसम्म नेपालको कलाकृतिको इतिहासको खोजी अधुरो नै रहने प्रश्न छ, जसका लागि गुठी संस्थान, पुरातत्व विभाग जस्ता निकायहरूको भूमिका महत्वपूर्ण रहन सक्छ।
सिम्रोनगढ उद्योग वाणिज्य संघबाट पनि यसमा देशमा अनि पर्यटक मन्त्रालयमा पनि हामी पठाएछौँ कि यहाँ जसरी भए पनि यहाँको पहिला हाम्रो सिम्रोनगढमा सबै सम्पदा छँदैछ, तर तिनीहरू लोप हुँदैछ। त्यसको लागि हामी पर्यटक मन्त्रालयमा, अर्थ मन्त्रालयमा पटक पटक बारम्बार चाहिँ हामी आफ्नो लिखित रूपमा पत्रहरू पठाएछौँ कि सरकारबाट पहल होस्, यसलाई जसरी जे जस्तो छ त्यसले व्यवस्थित गरोस् अनि राम्रो हेर्न भइदिएको भए पर्यटकहरू त्यहाँ आफै आउँछ नि। त्यसको लागि हामी उद्योग वाणिज्य संघबाट धेरै पहल पनि गरेका छौँ। पहल फेरि गर्नको लागि अनि एउटा टिम बनाएर हामी सोचिरहेछौँ कि यसको लागि एकचोटि माथि केन्द्रमा काठमाडौँ गएर एकचोटि पर्यटन मन्त्रालयमा गएर बसेर यसको कुरा राखेर अर्थमन्त्री कहाँ पनि जाओस्, प्रधानमन्त्री कहाँ पनि जाओस्, उहाँहरूको ध्यान हो यो सिम्रोनगढको पर्यटक स्थल कसरी राम्रोसँग यो यसको विकास होस् भनेर हामी पहल पनि गर्दैछौँ। हजुर
मंदिर के हमनी के निर्वास सिमरावनगढ़ कंकाली अस्ताना उ सब जगह के हमनी के अच्छा विकास, अच्छा सुंदर देखे के चाहतनी। काहे तो मंदिर मैठबा इतना दिन से अभी नहीं सही बनी। आ कंकाली अस्ताना के हमनी के नेपाल के शान है। हमनी के नेपाल के शान के हमनी के अच्छा से आवरी स्वर्ग बनाई आ से आवरी सुंदर विकास करी।
ऐतिहासिक, सांस्कृतिक र पुरातात्विक महत्व बोकेको सिम्रोनगढको संरक्षण र प्रवर्धन पक्ष केही कमजोर भने अवश्य छ। तर समग्र मिथिलाको कला संस्कृतिको परिचय दिन सफल यहाँका पुरातात्विक सम्पदाहरू संरक्षणका लागि मध्य प्रदेश सरकारले रकम नै विनियोजन गरेर काम सुरु गरेको छ। बृहत गाउँ पर्यटनको सम्भावना बोकेको यस क्षेत्रको बहुमूल्य वस्तुलाई साँच्चै मूल्यवान बनाउन प्रदेश सरकार लागि परेको छ। मर्मत समाहारको अभावमा मन्दिर जीर्ण बन्दै गइरहेका बेला प्रदेश सरकारले गरेको यो पहल र प्रयास साँच्चै प्रशंसनीय छ। मानव अतीतलाई छातीमा समेटेर ऐतिहासिक धरोहरलाई सुरक्षित राख्न सफल सिम्रोनगढ दरबार घुमौं, मधेस चिनाऊ।
Only after 6 decades of the institutional development of the now popular game of cricket did Nepal get the opportunity to play in the World Cup. Although cricket was introduced in Nepal during the Rana regime, the sport was confined to a limited number of people, namely the elite. It all started with equipment brought by students returning from their studies in Britain and India. Although Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) was established in 1947, cricket remained centered among a few affluent individuals and in limited tournaments for a long time. Starting with the Bishnu Trophy in 1948, tournaments were limited to competitions like the Madan Memorial Sealed, Jugal Kishore Trophy, Rammani Trophy, and later the Jai Trophy. Even as the sport expanded outside Kathmandu Valley, it took decades for cricket to develop at the grassroots level. After the International Cricket Council (ICC) granted Nepal affiliate membership in 1988, Nepali cricket embarked on its international journey. The rule of mandatory participation in tournaments by the ICC and the Asian Cricket Council (ACC) opened doors to international competition for Nepal. After participating in the Under-19 Asian tournament in Hong Kong in 1996, Nepal has not looked back. Winning titles at the Asian and global levels, Nepali cricket team continues its journey towards the pinnacle of world cricket.
Goes down the ground because he was given that line outside off stump, so the first boundary of the contest, a handsome one.
Initially confined to Turikhel in Kathmandu, many international tournaments were hosted in Nepal after an international standard ground was built in Kirtipur. Nepal has also shown its proactiveness in differently abled cricket tournaments like the T20 World Cup for the blind in 2012 and the Asian Cricket Tournament for the deaf. Nepali women's national cricket team has also achieved remarkable success in a short period of time. The latest addition in Nepali cricket is the floodlit Tribhuvan University Cricket Stadium and the Nepal Premier League that has provided opportunity for Nepali players to rub shoulders with world-class players. Hello, welcome to Declassified Beyond the Brief on NTV World. I'm Devendra Subedi. In this episode, we try to explore a young Nepali artist's journey from Kathmandu to the global stage. Her journey from scribbling pictures in canvas to becoming the first contemporary Nepali artist to be included in the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, United States, in itself is fascinating. We will try to explore art, its forms, the artist herself, her life and work, and that is no less than an example for all the budding artists. Let's welcome Sneha Shrestha, aka Imagine.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me. Thank you. 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 Than
Let's start with this imagine thing.
Sure.
Can you explain what this imagine exactly is?
Sure. I mean, when I was first introduced to art as a young adult after graduating from college, I was really introduced to graffiti. And a lot of times graffiti artists have sort of what is called a street name. And when my mentor at that time asked me to choose a name, you know, I really didn't have an idea. But then I thought of what was closest to my heart, and I automatically thought of my mom. And my mom's name is Kalpana. And so when you translate Kalpana into English, it means imagination.
Is that what you're wearing right now?
Yes, actually. Yeah. This says Kalpana, and, you know, it's my way of keeping my mom close to my heart. And every time I sign my name, I get to write her name.
You were influenced by graffiti, as you said, and now sculpture also you are pursuing, and you are mural painter as well. You have followed different forms, the art, right? The name itself, this name that you have chosen, doesn't sound graffitish-like, but closer to your roots, your families. Was that something worked on or thought about?
Yeah, I wanted to choose something that felt like me. I didn't want, and I also needed like a shorter name, so like Imagine instead of Imagination made sense. And really my family and where I come from is really what roots me into my work, and so it made sense.
I'm really excited to have you here in our studios in Kathmandu. We caught you as you were here in Kathmandu for some project work, as you said. What is art exactly, Sneha? How should we define art? I know it's a very abstract term. This could have multiple understanding and interpretations, but how would you, as a performing artist, define art?
Well, as a visual artist, I would define art as self-expression. It's a way of sharing how I see the world.
Just that much?
Yeah.
What about the feelings?
I mean that is like, that includes everything, right? Like how I see the world, how I'm feeling about it, how I want people to see what I'm seeing. I think it's a powerful form of self-expression.
Art is something you are interested in or you like. When was the first memories of drawing something? When was it?
I think my first memory was watching my mom translate these English children's books into Nepali children's books. It was a time where there weren't a lot of Nepali children's books, right? So I remember, you know, the story of the ant and the grasshopper. I remember it was, you know, my mom was translating these books. She would write them in Nepali, and then she would draw them into like large books. She was a teacher. She was a teacher. And so she would take that to her. She was my Nepali teacher, actually. And so she would take it to the classroom and teach us in Nepali, but she would make it exciting, right? If you think about the books, even till now, textbooks and maybe texts on newspapers kind of look similar, right? But then the way she would draw these pictures larger than life and the letters, you know, like much larger so that kids can read it. I think that was my like really, you know, first memory of like being fascinated by what colors can do, what these like broken pieces of color pencils can do on paper. But I mean, I've loved art and painting really all my life. So I think it was just a matter of, you know, will I do
When
this?
would I just discover it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a thing where I was like, I want to be an artist.
Was there somebody who saw the brighter side of your painting and told you that you should be doing this when you were a child?
That's a good question. I think I found myself getting drawn to painting all the time. It's just something that I loved doing, regardless of whether I had an art class or not. I just found myself doing it all the time. Even when I went to college, I had I majored in globalization studies. But in addition to that, I would find myself sneaking in art classes and making time for that. And so I just knew that that's something that felt like me, and I was just gravitated by it.
Any specific elements that you draw inspiration in your present day, let's say, art, Nepali culture, something that is rooted in something that is pretty Nepali-like?
Yeah, I think everything about my work is kind of rooted into where I come from, how I grew up in Kathmandu, my household, what my mom and dad showed me that is part of my, our tradition and culture as Newari people. I think it is hard to represent a whole country, being given that our country is so diverse. We speak more than 100 languages just inside Nepal, so it's impossible for me to represent the whole of Nepal. But what I realize is that I can tell the story of how I grew up, and hopefully other people can resonate with that. It really came from the need of expressing myself in terms of who I am. Because usually, I think even till this day when you're in the US, people are like, okay, you're from Nepal, oh, Mount Everest. That's about it, right? Yeah. And so how do I explain that I don't live anywhere close to Mount Everest? No, I haven't climbed it. Yes, I've seen it, but that doesn't tell my whole story. That doesn't tell your story. It doesn't tell my story, right? So I think it came from a struggle of saying, how do I tell people who I am? Where do I even start? I think that struggle became real over time. And I think art really helped me talk about, this is, how my mom does things at home. These are the colors that I was surrounded by growing up. These are temple, shapes of like different temples that is part of our, everyday architecture in Kathmandu. When you're walking around, there's a temple here, there's a temple there. There's so much fabric, like celebratory fabric around. And I think that's what I wanted to share. Because your identity isn't just one thing, it's all these things you're surrounded by, you grew up with. So I think that's where it really came from.
Tell me something about your fascination for that particular script.
Sure.
Because that connects to what you said just now. I'm fed up answering the question that I'm not somewhere near from Mount Everest. But you translated your art, you brought that into your art, expressing your culture. Somewhere there, very close to that. Is it your answer to that question by adopting that Devanagari in your art?
Sure, it feels closer to answering the question that I've ever gotten to, because Nepali letters are, I can confidently tell someone that these are Nepali letters. It's based in the Devanagari script. Devanagari script is used to write Nepali and Sanskrit and Hindi, and Sanskrit is one of the oldest written forms of languages in the world. And the fact that we can write Devanagari so casually, like a kid can write in Devanagari, like Nepali so casually, it's really a point of cultural pride for me to look at my native letters and be like, look, this is so important. So much of history is based on this. So much of written history is based on this. This is really something special, guys. Like, look at this. So getting to say that and being excited about it really got me started.
Everybody is an artist somewhere in the heart, they say, but until somebody recognizes it. Do you remember when was your first work of art? Somebody said that, yes, this is awesome. You should make more and more of it. Do you remember when was that moment?
That's such a good question. I'm smiling. I'm like smiling because there really wasn't that one time, it really took time to realize that this is something I want to do. This is something that I can make happen. It took a very long time. It wasn't like, going to school here and everything. I hadn't even met a real living artist in my life when I was in school. I hadn't been to a gallery, right? So all of that came later in my life. So it wasn't one moment. It was a series of moments that I looked back on and connected the dots. And I think that's what I continue to do, is connect the dots in terms of, okay, this makes sense. This feels good. Let's move forward with it. So I would say it was a series.
You got family support when you wanted to pursue this as a career?
I think it creeped up so slowly that it wasn't a turning point. It was like, I was taking my, whatever I was trying to do at that time along with my artwork. And so it built up over time. So there was no turning point in that, hey, I'm going to do this sort of. But I would say there was one moment after I finished my master's where I spoke to my family and I was like, hey, just give me 1 year where I just want to try this. I feel like I've done everything. I am confident that I can find a job if this doesn't work out. Can you just give me 1 year? I just want to try it out. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And it's been 8 years since, so I'm not sure what to say.
You went to the US to pursue your bachelor's degree. Still, you're not aware that you're going to be an artist?
No.
Were you?
No. It wasn't, a lot of people ask me, like, is it a dream come true? And literally, it wasn't even in my dream. It wasn't in my vocabulary that it was something that I could do. Being born and raised here, it wasn't a career path that someone was like, hey, this is a possibility. I think, it happened over time as well. So, like, bachelor's degree is 4 years in the US. I think it was like 3.5 years in, my professor told me, you've taken enough art classes to be an art major. We know you're a globalization studies major, but do you also want to add this? You just need one more class. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. Sure. That's how I became an art major. It wasn't like I want to be an artist and I should, and I think even after graduation, I wasn't working as an artist. I was working at an arts nonprofit at that time, but I wasn't working as an artist. And I think it was over time that it happened.
As a student, how were you? You were a bright student, weren't you?
Good question. A lot of people, I think it's an interesting question to ask because I didn't consider myself a bright student when I was up till high school. I was in the same school from like 3rd grade till 12th grade. I wasn't considered a good student. I was considered like a troublemaker. I was always told I was like a bad kid, and that my ideas weren't valid ever. And I always used to have this question like, why can't I answer it this way? Because this seems like a right answer too. Like I was always curious, I think the first time I really enjoyed learning and I felt like I wanted to do my homework and wanted to read was when I took this anthropology class in college. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. This is what it feels like to enjoy learning. And I guess that's the point where I started wanting to be a good student. I think before that, it felt like a necessity that was placed on me, as most students might feel. But at that point, I was like, wow, I really am looking forward to doing my homework. I want to read this book so that I know, what's going on in class and stuff like that. So it's a complicated question, to say the least.
Why I asked you this, because you studied at Harvard's in full scholarship.
Correct.
A dull student wouldn't do that. Or a dull student like me would not be able to do that, would I?
I think it's a definition of like what's a good student, right? Okay. Is a good student, saying yes to everything? Is a good student following the instructions exactly like you've given them? Is a good student not asking any questions and just nodding your head in agreement? Or is a good student a critical thinker who will ask you questions back because they're curious? Because I'm that kind of student and I feel like I'm a student of life. I continue learning. So in terms of that, I am a student. But I'm not sure if a good student is like a...
Inquisitiveness in you led you to this career. If I say that, would I be wrong?
No, I think you'd be so right. I think it was that curiosity of like, what if? What if I gave myself 1 year to try this out? And not being scared to kind of take that step and being okay with the fact that it could not work out, and that's okay. But if it works out, that's great too. So being okay with the unknown is such an important thing to have, I think.
Would you say there's no harm in being bad by asking questions or being inquisitive? Follow your passion? Would you say that, or would you say be a good student, do your homework, listen to your parents and teachers? Which one would you suggest?
I would say both. I would say if you're smart, you have to be part of the paradigm too that the school system is set on. Yes, you do need to get good grades. You do need to be a good student. At the same time, also be yourself. If that means being curious and asking questions, then do that. So I think it's not just as simple as like follow your passion.
My next question, Sneha, being a Nepali, abroad for studies, following your passion, was it difficult initially?
Yeah, I think it's always difficult when you follow your passion, especially when it's something that no one has done before, in your vicinity at least. I think that's why it took me a long time to come to it. I think if someone was like, hey, you're really good at art, you should think about being an artist, and this is what you need to do to be an artist. If someone told me that, I think I would have been in a different place now, but I think it was a lot of trial and error to figure out what I want to do. And I think it's important to do that at the same time, because that's sort of part of finding yourself, right? And once you do, there's really, you kind of feel invincible in a way that you feel like this is me. And there's no doubt about it.
Tell us something about mural painting. How is it different from other forms of painting or art, let's say? What exactly is mural painting?
Sure. So my background has been in graffiti, and graffiti is it's an art form based on letters. And, it started in New York City by young people at a rebellion. And so they would paint really large pieces of like their name on trains, on walls. And so that's really what got me started. I was really interested in painting. Now murals are, graffiti pieces can be murals. Graffiti is mostly like letters. It's a very big emphasis on looking at letters as images. Murals are large paintings on walls. I think in terms of aesthetics, it really depends on the viewers, like who is viewing it. I think that's the beauty of art, that it's subjective, right? It's like something that I love might not be something that you love, and that's okay. Yeah. So a graffiti piece can be part of a mural. Mural is basically a really large work of art on like buildings and walls, and that's really large. So the aesthetics can really depend on the artist. It can be anything really. It can be a portrait. It can be someone's name really large. Yeah.
Allow me to ask this question. Is art emotion, expression, or devotion?
I think it's all of the above. I think it's so much of trying to express yourself in the most authentic way you know how. And I think without devotion, that is not possible, because it takes so much to come to understanding who you are, and then even more to understand what you want to say, especially when you're given a platform. So I think I would say it's all of the above.
Any special reason for choosing the first alphabet?
Sure. So when I started realizing that I wanted to use Devanagari script to create my paintings, there was this sense of empowerment that I had. I was like, wow, this makes so much sense. It's amazing. And then, I used to try writing different words. But then when the pandemic hit, that was a difficult time for everybody, right? So, I wasn't painting outside. I was just in my apartment. And I came back to painting in a way where I was, I just wanted to feel sane. I just wanted to feel the comfort of maybe home. I was missing home so much. At that time, obviously, it wasn't a good time to come back home. So I was really turning to painting to find that comfort. And I was really thinking about, what is the essence of home? If I can't, is it just a physical space? And if it's not, then what is the essence of home? And one of the sort of like things that I thought about was home is like the same comfort that you have when you can run up the stairs of your home, even when the lights are out. During load shedding, every Nepali kid, you can go up and down your stairs.
They could do that because they know it.
Exactly. That's home, right? That's the comfort of home. That's the familiarity of home. And I wanted to capture that essence. And then I could only write ka. I found myself writing ka over and over again, just like a meditation. And then over time, I was just obsessed with, how I want to write it. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I want to write it the exact same way. Like, I'm pretty sure you can write ka with your eyes closed. Why? Because it's the first letter that we learned how to write. And it's the same as the comfort of home. So when I figured that out, I was like, yes, I just want to write this for now. And that's where, the repetition of like the letter ka began. So.
What satisfies you the most? The price that your work fetches? The comment from critics? Or the relief that you feel after expressing yourself out?
That's a good question. I think it's the reason why I chose this job is because this is that one job for me that lets me be myself 100% real and be myself 100% in the most authentic way I know how. So if in a project I'm able to express myself 100% like that, that is what makes me really happy and satisfied. And yeah, and I think it's a powerful thing to be able to be yourself 100% of the time, every single day. And then over time, you also learn to be okay with yourself. Mm-hmm. So I would say, yeah, I think authenticity, my voice is what's most important to me, which is why I do what I do. So I would say that's what would make me more...
What is the best compliment you have received from somebody who loves art after having seen your work?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I think it depends on who says it. I think what jumps in my mind right now is when, like in Boston or even here in Kathmandu, when I meet young people and they say, you know, I could really see what you're trying to do, what you're trying to show. Or like in Boston, there might be Nepali families who come and show, like parents, they show their kids, like, you know, this is what it is and this is what she's trying to do and I'm not even around. I think that's the biggest compliment for me.
Let's go to mural painting again. Can you just walk us through the process from the concept, designing, and up to the wall? Can you just walk us through the process? How does it go?
Sure. So a big part of the mural, of creating a mural, especially a really large one, is the collaboration element of it. For example, my 6-story tall mural on the MIT building, that took a lot of collaboration. Even before the painting process began, we have to work with the city, permits, the local business district people, and then local stakeholders, people in the neighborhood. I think that's the part that's invisible, but that's the part that takes most time. Can we paint this wall? Is this wall stable to be able to be painted?
Once you're done with all the, let's say, legals and those sort of formalities, now it's time to conceptualize your vision on the field. How long does it take? Your MIT, let's say, mural we were talking about.
Yeah, I started by like taking photos of the wall, and then I also spend a lot of time in front of the wall to see how people walk around it. I want to see how people experience the wall, what the wall looks like at sunset, at sunrise, because my work is going to be there and I want it to have a good home. I want it to make sense. So it's a big part of it is understanding the environment that I'm in. And then I start, taking pictures, and then I'll print them, and then I'll sketch on the building, and then start the process.
Sneha is the first Nepali artist whose work has been acquired by 2 world-famous fine art museums. How does it feel, Sneha, to have that heavy cap over your head?
It's pretty exciting. I think it's, the Museum of Fine Arts, the painting that was acquired, it's in their permanent collection, and to think that it's going to be there long after I'm gone for other Nepali people and people of various cultures to be able to see, I think that's a really powerful thing for me to realize. I think it's wonderful to be able to see a contemporary Nepali voice. I think it takes away from the mysticism, the stereotypical kind of box that Nepali people and Nepali culture is usually put into, especially in Western museums. We're seen as this culture of like ancient, of like past, but the truth is we're a living tradition, we're a living culture. We're people who practice all these things till this day. We're not just people of the past. I think it's important to leave behind such stories in important institutions like museums. And the other one is at the Harvard Art Museums. It's a sculpture that they acquired, and it's going to be on long-term view, and it's in their collection as well.
Fine art museums like Boston or Harvard, they are acquiring pieces from artists from Asia as well. Are they becoming more and more open to the international artists as well, or if I say that, I'd be just undermining your creative talent?
I think the world is globalizing, has globalized over time, right? And the US is a melting pot of various cultures. I do think there's a realization that there needs to be a representation for all these cultures that make up the country. And so it's an important time to be part of that conversation.
So you were the first to be from this country. Now, does that inspire you to work harder and what's next am I going to do sort of thing? Does that give you more inspiration or make you more desperate?
It encourages me. It gives me a signal that I'm doing something right, and it feels right. And people from various parts of Nepal that I meet in Boston and other parts of the US, I feel encouraged by them when they see it. I think people who visited Nepal and are not necessarily Nepali see Nepal in my work, and that's a point of pride. It just gives me a green signal that I'm doing something right, and I'm motivated to keep going.
How does it feel to be the cultural ambassador of the country in the melting pot?
That's a
Around the
huge-
world you're traveling now. How does it feel?
That's a huge phrase to take on.
You are, Sneha. You are the first artist from this country to be represented there. Not just represented, but acquired by those institutions. So that does give you the tag of being our cultural ambassador abroad.
I feel like it's important to carry on the work that I'm doing. I think it's important to share to younger people what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, so that maybe the younger generation can do it even better than I am doing it, and I hope that they do. I think it's so important to carry my people wherever I go, however the best I can. At the end of the day, I'm just one person, so hopefully there's more people who get the opportunity to do the same and represent, their part of their Nepali life.
This is Declassified, and we are talking with Sneha Shrestha, contemporary Nepali mural artist, sculpture, graffiti-based artist, and a fusion artist. In the next part of the conversation, now we talk about the best works of Sneha. Which of the works that you have done so far is closest to your heart? I would be definitely not doing justice to you by asking this question. I know you are the creator. Everything is very, very dear to you. But still, if you have to pick one,
Sure.
which one would you pick?
I mean, my mentor has always told me you're only as good as your last piece. And so I would love to talk about, my most recent show at the Institute of Contemporary Art. These are pictures from the Institute of Contemporary Art where I'm currently exhibiting my work. It's part of the Foster Prize show. The Foster Prize is one of the most prestigious art prizes in Boston, and it's something that I've been eyeing for the past 6 years, and I've really wanted that prize really badly. And you can't apply for it, you have to get selected for it. And when you get selected, you get to have the show at the Institute of Contemporary Art, and it's for Boston artists. And so to be selected for that felt incredible. And when something I wanted came to fruition, it was like, okay, it's time to do what you felt ready to do for a long time, is have sort of like this first solo museum show, and you get to show a big body of work.
How are you expressing yourself in these two pieces?
Sure, so these two pieces are part of that show at the Institute of Contemporary Art, the ICA in Boston. These two pieces are my first art-shaped paintings. These are 7 feet each, and they contribute to the architectural feel of the space. In this, you see fractals of the Devanagari script. So they're not necessarily words, but if you looked at the alphabet really zoomed in really close, that's what you would see, in my opinion.
I can see Ka on the blue side of the canvas.
Yes. So I call it like the shadow part. So if you think of an arch, that's sort of like the shadow part of the painting. That's where you see the repetition of Ka. And I brought the Ka there because my first painting acquired by the Museum of Fine Arts, that painting is a repetition of Ka over and over again.
Let's move on to the next one.
So this is the painting that was acquired by the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, and it so happened that when my mom was visiting me, it was on view, and so I got to take her there and, show it, and her, reaction just...
This must be very close to you. Ka there, your mother, Kalpana there, and you are the Imagine there. So this is a masterpiece, I would say.
This was a special moment for sure, and this was a painting I actually created in 2020 during that time that I told you about during the pandemic, And the curator, Laura Weinstein at the MFA, recognized that, and she chose this as the painting to be acquired.
Probably this is the largest piece of mural you have painted?
It's not the largest, but it is the tallest. It's about 60 feet tall, so like 6 stories. And it's in the heart of Cambridge, and it's at the confluence of various neighborhoods. MIT is right there, so a lot of students get to see it. A lot of Nepali students at MIT have, shown me the you know, that they're there and like tagged me on it, which is super cool. Yeah.
You just do it all alone, right? Or you just need some helping hand to finish this piece?
No, I wish I could get a helping hand, but because it's my handwriting on the wall, I do it all myself.
So all alone, apart
Correct.
from the machinery that has been used, it's all you who has done it?
Yes, and I operate the machine as well. So the articulating boom lift that you see me here, I operate it myself. And my photographer was on the other end of it taking this photo.
Okay, this is how it looks once it's done.
Yeah, so for scale, you can see like tiny people on the bottom.
So it's a really huge mural. Tell me something about this one. This I can clearly see car, your very dear car there. Tell me something. Where is it?
I think this is in Michigan. This was the moment where I really was dedicated to the letter Ga, and I felt confident enough to paint it so large and be able to tell people, you know, this is the first letter of the Nepali alphabet, and this is what it means to me. And so I feel like this moment was that moment where I felt like I have arrived. I'm so confident in telling people about this language that they know nothing about. But I felt, that I could.
Tell us something about this one, Sneha.
Sure. So this is a sculpture. It's called Dwar Palika. This is the sculpture that was acquired by the Harvard Art Museums. It's currently on view. We actually just installed it before I left. And, my parents were able to see it. And this is, you see the repetition of Ka. It's made out of brass and powder-coated steel. And yeah, it's sort of suspended from the ceiling, and it kind of has this aura about her. I call her because there's that energy that she has, and there's a environment that's like built around her because of the shadows that are laid on the floor. So it's a really special piece for me.
When the creator like you hand your piece of work to museums like this, how does it feel? Like shedding your skin or something like that?
It feels emotional because I remember the day that I packed this. It takes a long time for acquisitions, for museum acquisitions to happen. And so when I recognized that it was the last day that I packed her up and dropped her off at this storage facility. It's like you don't drop it off at the museum. So storage facility, and I just said, the next time I see her, she's going to be installed. And I definitely had a tear in my eye, and I was just like, wow, it feels like such a moment to kind of take in. And it's, it's bittersweet for sure, because you work towards something for so long, and then it's going to be at this really important place for a very long time. It's definitely an important moment.
Sneha, let's talk about this one. This looks really, really large.
Yeah, it's it's a pretty large mural. It's in East Boston. It's by the water. Mm-hmm. So you can see it from the other shore of Boston. And it was this really special piece that I got to do, and I wanted to make sure that I did 3 circular shapes, because 3 is such a sacred number with everything that we do in our rituals and pujas and everything. And so I really wanted to talk about that. And it is... it's one of my largest works.
Fantastic. We're so much fascinating these works are, Sneha.
Thank you.
Please allow me to do this, okay? Pick one of these pictures. Of all these pictures we have done and your sculpture we have displayed here, if you had to, okay? You can't escape this.
Okay.
Pick one only.
Okay. I think I would pick the Cambridge one. The Cambridge mural that you saw, the really tall one, because that tested me in different ways. That it's kind of like building a muscle, right? You're tested and there's pain, and then you grow stronger from it. I think it's one of those pieces. That's why it's so close to my heart. And also, so many people have kind of, at this point, the mural kind of belongs to the city. It's not my work anymore. So many people attach their stories. So many people have gotten married in front of the mural, take their wedding photos.
You must be a special guest in those ceremonies.
No, but I get sent these photos. Young Nepali students at MIT take selfies in front of it. It's really part of the city's DNA at this point. And so I'm really honored to have that work there.
Fantastic. The works of Sneha Shrestha, aka Imagine, some of her works. These are just some of the works that she has produced. There are so many things. She's working globally, working with multinational projects where she's working not only in the US but around the world. Now, last part of our conversation, Sneha, you are an inspiration to the youth. What message do you have for them? All those who want to pursue their passion and build a career out of it, or let's say pursue their passion only.
Sure, I would say take time to figure out what you want to do. It might not be as soon as you graduate high school. It might not be as soon as you finish your bachelor's degree. It's a process. I would say look at it as a process and make sure that you find joy in the process. And there's no really this end place that you get to that you'll find happiness in. I would say if you're happy in the process, then you're really closer to finding yourself. Figure out what is the most authentic version of you and kind of use that as a compass to pursue whatever you're pursuing. So the message here isn't go out and be an artist. The message is, find out who you are and what you love doing. And that might not be your job immediately, but just finding something that you love doing is such an important part of being. So, yeah.
What message would you like to give to the youngsters who are looking up to you as inspiration?
I would say it's okay to be different. It's okay to think differently. It's okay to ask questions. And it's so important to have mentors. I think those are the things that I would love to share with younger people.
What is life, Sneha?
Life? I think it's a process. I think it's like this fun process that you get to try different things out in. And yeah, I think that's what life is.
Striking a balance in life, how important it is.
I think it's so important to balance out. I think it's important, first of all, to find a compass of what guides you. For me, what guides me is my happiness, and that could mean in different ways. That means being able to see my parents as often as I want. That means being a good friend. That means building communities in both of my homes, in Kathmandu and in Boston. These are things that really kind of make my life, and kind of make things clear, like what are important to me, and that's my community, that's my friends and my family. And I think once you have that compass, everything kind of starts falling into place.
Last question to you, Sneha. Your career goals and your personal goals.
Sure. I think this sounds so, I'm not trying to boast it, but I think I'm living it as, career and personal goals. As an artist, it kind of melds into one thing. And I want to take both of them side by side. So if my career helps me express myself even better, that's amazing. Things that I might say no to, that might be, for my personal life. And I think balancing those things is quite important. But both of that is still me. So I got to take both of them in a balanced way. So, yeah. Okay, so I have something that I brought for you. It's a sticker. And it has the first letter, Ka, on it. And it's something that I do for everybody that I meet. I give them a sticker. And the background for that is really, when graffiti writers meet each other, we exchange stickers. Street artists, murals, we exchange stickers. And I really like to do that. And stickers something, playful and a little bit of joy. So, yeah.
My privilege, Sneha. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful conversation with a Nepali contemporary artist who is definitely a world-class artist, Sneha Shrestha, whose name in itself is Imagine. That correlates to her roots, her mother. Thank you so much for watching this show, and definitely do follow us on our website, our social media handles. Until next time, from me and my entire crew of Declassified, bye-bye.
The people and wildlife of the Everest region are facing profound challenges due to the melting glaciers, erratic weather patterns, altered rainfall cycles, and escalating temperatures. Shrinking glaciers are the growing expanse of glacial lakes in the Himalayas, heightening the threat of sudden and catastrophic disasters. According to a study conducted by ICIMOD and UNDP, out of 1,466 glacial lakes in the country, 21 have been identified as potentially dangerous, of which 6 have been placed in the high-risk category, such as Lake Imza in Solukhumbu district. Rapid glacial melting, glacial lake outbursts, and unusual flooding are rare phenomena in the Everest region. A team of science journalists from Nepal, India, Bhutan, and Bangladesh undertook a 12-day journey from Kathmandu to Everest Base Camp to report on the impact of climate change on the base camp and its surroundings. It is a unique and once-in-a-lifetime experience for the journalists. Flights in the mountainous regions are naturally difficult and can be intimidating. Even so, the participants of Himalayan Climate Bootcamp 2024 are excited to experience this unique once-in-a-lifetime journey.
We are excited.
Yes.
Yes.
Very excited. Now excited.
The plane finally touched down. Mentors and 6 Sherpas assistants have begun the trek along the trail. As a group, people pass through Himalayan villages. They engage with locals, government officials, Nepal Army, guides, porters, and tourists, gathering fresh insight about the Everest region.
It was a really good experience. It was really cold, but not that hard.
On the first day of the boot camp, we overcame every obstacle to reach Monjo at 2,835 meters in the Dudkosi Valley. We passed through Phakding, which is at 2,610 meters. After walking for more than 6 hours from Lukla, the team members were exhausted. Each evening, program directors, mentors, and participant journalists would sit together to casually discuss the day's experience and plan the schedule for the next day. Data collection and interviews were carefully organized during these meetings. Informal conversation and interactions with locals played a key role in the bootcamp.
We are going to interact with stakeholders. That means you may know about the environmental issues, garbage, and other things. So, Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee, SPCC, that is the key stakeholder in the region.
To mark World Press Freedom Day on May 3rd, an interactive program was held at Sagarmatha National Park, focusing on the importance of press freedom for science journalists. The event brought together local Sherpa business people, environment activists, government officials, representatives from Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee, the park warden, political leaders, and trekking guides, among others.
7,000 को हाराहारीमा छ population 7,000 population 7,500 त्यस्तै हाराहारीमा छ गाउँ चाहिँ कतिवटा छ ठ्याक्कै 10 में मोटामोटी त्यही 12-15 वटा गाउँहरु छन्
आपके इसमें भी ऐसे बफर जोन रहता है
बफर
कोर एरिया रहता है कोर में अलाउड नहीं है पर बफर में रह सकते हैं
no there is the village inside the
core also
as well as in the buffer also
okay
this modality is totally different from the modality of Tarai and the national park which you said that is
right India.
The discussion centered on the press freedom and the impact of climate change on the livelihoods of the people in the Himalayan region. The next morning after breakfast, we visited Kancha Sherpa, member of Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa's Everest expedition team.
Group ko leader John. यहाँ छेउमै रुख छ रुख काटेर 10 वटा रुख भयो बेस क्याम्प गयो बेस क्याम्प पुर्याएपछि अनि आइस बलमा त्यो रुखको साङ्गो थापेर अनि हामी क्याम्प 1 बनायो अनि त्यही क्याम्प 1 बनाएपछि त त्यहाँबाट त अनि सबै सजिलो छ अनि त्यसो गरेर क्याम्प 2 मा सबै सी लेभल छ क्याम्प 3 मा पनि दुःख छैन अनि क्याम्प 4 मा चाहिँ अनि साउथ कोन हो अनि हामी त्यसो गरेर अनि एभरेस्ट चढेको हामी चाहिँ गएन अनि हेलेर र तेन्जिङ चाहिँ हामीले साउथ समिटमा पुर्यायो अक्सैहरु भयो र पालाहरु भयो र माथि साउथ समिटमा पुर्याएर हामी चाहिँ साउथ खोलमा सुन्न आयो.
Afterwards, we headed to the picturesque Himalayan villages of Khumsung, situated at 3,800 meters. Development of Khumsung began after the historic 1953 Everest climb by Hillary and Norgay. With the establishment of Kunde Hospital and Khumsung School by Hillary, there was significant improvements in health, education, and the overall livelihood of the local community. The team walked along steep trails, greeted by blooming rhododendrons, and reached Tengboche at 3,867 meters on the 4th day, where they spent the night. On the 5th day, they continued their journey, noticing changes in the Himalayas as the snow-covered peaks were now turning black. On the way to Dingboche at 4,410 meters, snowfall greeted them. To acclimatize to the altitude, the team stayed in Dingboche on the 6th day. On the 7th day, they moved on to Lobuche, crossing the steep Thukpa Pass. In the evening, they reached the Pyramid International Laboratory and Observatory in Lobuche at 5,060 meters, the world's highest altitude laboratory. During this, they also had an insightful interaction session with an international glaciologist, learning about the changes at Everest Base Camp.
Here in the region, with the French, we measure the Mera Glacier up until the peak. So we have stakes, we make a hole in the ice, we put a stake, And then next year we come and we measure how much that stake has emerged. And that's how much the surface of the glacier has lowered, and that corresponds to what the glacier has lost that year. And at the same time we go to the upper part and we measure accumulation. So an interesting thing is that in the last 2 years there has not been accumulation at the top of Mera Peak. That is 6,400 meters up and there's no accumulation. And that means that the glaciers are not getting fed up, they are just losing ice.
On the 8th day, the team arrived at Everest Base Camp at 5,364 meters and held an interaction with government officials.
I think this is a good initiation in the field of journalism science. Even without investing much more dollar money, nobody can come here.
The discussion focused on the relocating the base camp, waste management, and the melting glaciers.
Yeah, finally, we made it to the base camp. This base camp is an altitude of 5,364 meters and is the part of the Himalayan climate boot camp. And we have 13 journalists from different countries, especially from the SAARC region. From Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal, and it's the historic event, and is the first event that journalists have came from the sea level to the highest level to conduct a boot camp, and we have a very lifetime experience, and we observed different issues like glacier melting, status of base camp, Everest base camp, and we met different stakeholders like climbers, government officials, and we have the concluding ceremony in the base camp, and we have government officials, Mr. Khimla
Welcome to Business World Weekly. I am your host, Siksha Sharma. This week, we track trade deals, market movements, and technological breakthroughs shaping the global economy. Let's start with a major shift in the US-India trade relations. The United States and India have reached a landmark trade agreement, cutting tariffs on Indian goods from 50% to 18%. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also pledged to boost imports of US products to over $500 billion.
US President Donald Trump has announced a trade deal with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to slash US tariffs on the nation's goods to 18% from 50%. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said India will reduce trade barriers to zero and stop buying Russian oil. The announcement comes less than a week after India and the European Union announced a landmark trade deal that capped nearly 2 decades of on and off talks. Modi had said he's delighted that an agreement with the United States has been reached. Trump said that Modi committed to buying more than $500 billion worth of American goods, including energy, technology, agriculture, and coal products. The trade relationship between US and India has been strained since August, when the US imposed 50% tariffs on goods from India, the highest for a country in Asia. This included a 25% penalty to India's purchase of Russian oil. Indian exports to the US plummeted sharply as Trump's tariffs took effect. Officials in Delhi have been seeking partnerships with other countries also grappling with Trump's tariffs. Last week, India and the European Union announced a free trade agreement that is set to lower taxes on all goods between India and the bloc of 27 European states, as both sides seek to deepen ties in the face of increasing tensions with the United States. The agreement, which the European Commission's president called the mother of all deals, is supposed to double EU exports to India by 2032, according to the EU.
Across the Atlantic, France is navigating political and fiscal challenges. France has adopted its 2026 budget, increasing defense spending by 6.5 billion euros. Prime Minister Lecornu survived 2 no-confidence votes while pushing the budget through Parliament. French government adopted 2026 budget after surviving 2 confidence votes on Monday. Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has faced a string of no-confidence votes in recent weeks as he pushed the first sections of the 2026 state budget through Parliament without a vote. On Tuesday, Lecornu defended his decision, touting what he called a breakthrough budget that would boost defense spending by 6.5 billion euros and urging a long-term view. The 2026 budget is expected to remain a flashpoint in Parliament, with further no-confidence votes possible as additional sections of the legislation are debated. The government's reliance on constitutional tools to bypass votes is said to underscore its fragile position in a divided legislature and raises questions about its ability to push through future reforms. France's public finances remain under close scrutiny from investors and European partners as the government seeks to balance higher defense spending with efforts to control deficits and reassure markets. Meanwhile, the United Nations is sounding a financial alarm. The United Nations is facing a severe funding shortfall, warned Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Many member states, including the US, are behind on mandatory contributions.
The United Nations is facing a severe financial crisis and could run out of funds by July, according to Secretary General Antonio Guterres. This he attributes to many member states failing to pay mandatory contributions. The situation worsened after the US, the UN's largest donor, refused to fund regular and peacekeeping budgets and withdrew from several agencies, while other countries are also behind on payments. A UN rule requiring refunds of unspent funds even when money was not received has compounded the shortfall, forcing the organization to return hundreds of millions it does not have. Cost-cutting measures like turning off heating and escalators are already in place. The funding crunch is affecting operations worldwide, including cuts to human rights investigations, maternal health clinics, and food aid. Guterres has stressed that without full contributions or financial reforms, the UN's system integrity is at serious risk.
Back in Asia, South Korea is seeing a record breakthrough export growth. South Korea's exports hit a record $65.85 billion in January, led by booming semiconductor shipments. The country recorded its 12th consecutive trade surplus.
South Korea's exports rose sharply in January, driven by a surge in semiconductor shipments amid strong global demand linked to artificial intelligence. Semiconductor prices increased by up to 8 times compared with a year earlier, according to industry data. Semiconductor exports reached $20.54 billion in January, more than double the amount recorded in the same month last year. Exports of related products also increased. Computer exports recorded their highest January level on record, while shipments of wireless communication devices rose for a third consecutive month. Overall exports reached $65.85 billion in January, the highest monthly total on record. South Korea recorded a trade surplus for the 12th consecutive month in January.
Next, China is accelerating its industrial transformation. China's smart manufacturing sector is expanding rapidly, with robot and smart device sales up over 24%. The AI Plus initiative is driving AI integration across industries.
China accelerated the smart transformation of its manufacturing sector in 2025, with robust growth in sales revenue from robot manufacturing and smart consumer devices, according to invoice data released by the State Taxation Administration. The data showed that the sales revenue of the intelligent equipment manufacturing industry surged 28.1% from the previous year. It also showed that steady progress was made last year in moving China's manufacturing sector toward higher-end production. The smart consumer device and robot manufacturing also recorded impressive year-on-year sales growth of 32.4% and 24% respectively, as the AI Plus initiative gained faster traction. Unveiled by a government work report in 2024, the AI Plus initiative aims to promote the extensive in-depth integration of AI across all industries throughout China's economy and society. Sales revenue in advanced manufacturing industries, including computer and communications equipment manufacturing, as well as instruments manufacturing, surged by 11.5% and 10.3% year-on-year, respectively.
Back in the tech world, Tesla is making strategic moves. Tesla reported a 3% revenue decline in 2025 and a 61% drop in Q4 profits. SpaceX is acquiring Elon Musk's AI startup xAI, merging rockets, AI, and robotics.
Tesla reported its first annual revenue decline, with revenues down 3% in 2025 and Q4 profits falling 61%. The company's ending production of the Model S and Model X to convert the California plant for humanoid robot Optimus production, signaling a shift toward AI and robotics. The move comes as China's BYD overtakes Tesla as the largest EV maker. US EV subsidies decline, and Musk's political involvement has alienated.
Turning to Japan, Nintendo continues to innovate in gaming. Nintendo reported nearly a 30% rise in operating profits. Sales of the Switch 2 console are forecast at 19 million units this year. Meanwhile, Starbucks faces new competition in its home market. Japan's Nintendo on Tuesday maintained its annual operating profit forecast of $2.4 billion, an increase of nearly a third of the previous financial year. The Super Mario Maker launched its Switch 2 gaming device in mid-2025 with robust early sales, but investors are debating whether that momentum can be maintained. The Kyoto-based gaming company also maintained its annual sales forecast for the Switch 2 of 19 million units. Nintendo, whose Switch 2 follows the wildly popular Switch, has had to navigate supply chain disruptions caused by US President Donald Trump's trade war. Hardware manufacturers are also now grappling with sharply rising prices for memory chips amid booming investment in artificial intelligence. Starbucks' US market share fell to 48% in 2025, down from 52% in 2023. Competitors including 7 Brew and Luckin Coffee are expanding rapidly.
Americans are consuming more coffee than at any point in recent decades, but Starbucks is losing market share as competition in the U.S. coffee industry intensifies. Starbucks remains the largest coffee chain in the United States, operating nearly 17,000 stores nationwide and planning to open hundreds more. However, the company is facing increased competition from both established rivals and emerging brands, making it more difficult to regain customers lost in recent years. According to data from food industry consulting firm Technomic, Starbucks' share of spending at U.S. coffee shops declined in both 2024 and 2025. The company now holds 48% of the market, down from 52% in 2023. Additional competition comes from fast-growing drive-through chains such as Seven Brew, Scooters Coffee, and Dutch Bros. International brands are also entering the U.S. market, including Chinese chains Luckin Coffee and Mixu.
In the luxury sector, LVMH or Louis Vuitton reports lower profits. LVMH net profit fell 13% in 2025 to 10.9 billion euros. Total sales declined amid tariffs and global uncertainties, though U.S. demand is improving.
LVMH, the world's leading luxury goods group owned by Bernard Arnault, reported a 30% drop in net profit for 2025, falling to 10.9 billion euros, largely due to an exceptional tax on large French companies. Total sales also declined 5% to 80.8 billion euros as tariffs and geopolitical uncertainty weighed on consumer demand. The wines and spirits division was hardest hit with a 9% drop, while the fashion and leather goods division, which makes up nearly half of LVMH's revenue, saw an 8% decline. Despite the challenges, the company said it maintained innovation and resilience and expressed confidence in its performance for 2026, noting that U.S. sales grew in the second half of 2025 on solid demand.
As the week wraps up, here's a quick look at what this all means. This week has seen a mix of growth and caution in the global economy. Trade deals with India, record exports in South Korea, and China's industrial push show expansion opportunities. At the same time, U.S. government gridlock, UN financial concerns, and shifting market shares in Starbucks, Tesla, and LVMH remind us that political and economic uncertainties remain. That's your Business World Weekly. I am Siksha Sharma. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with more updates.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavana Casey. In this edition, we bring you the stories making headlines across the globe, from high-stakes stand-up diplomatic exchanges, groundbreaking scientific discoveries to cultural milestones and extraordinary human feats. We indeed have all the key stories you need to know. Let's start with the escalating Iran-US stand-up that has gripped global attention. Tehran has signaled full readiness to defend itself as the United States positions a naval armada near Iranian waters amid President Donald Trump's ongoing threats of military action. Amid the heightened military alert, UN Chief Guterres and regional diplomats are calling for urgent dialogue to avoid a new conflict. Iranian authorities say they are ready to defend their country as the United States continues to threaten a military attack amid regional diplomatic efforts to avoid a new conflict. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has reached Turkey to hold high-level talks amid latest developments in the region. The visit comes amid a flurry of high-level talks as regional leaders hope to convince the U.S. not to attack and the two sides to find some kind of compromise. But the U.S. Armada continues to position itself near Iran's waters, led by the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. U.S. President Donald Trump, however, says he hopes to avoid military action against Iran, saying he plans to have further talks with Tehran on a possible nuclear deal.
I have had, and I am planning on it, yeah. We have a lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now, and it would be great if we didn't have to use them. Two things. Number one, no nuclear, and number two, stop killing protesters. They're killing them by the thousands.
Iran has emphasized its military strength in recent days, following on from numerous military exercises held since June 12's war, when a number of its senior military officials were killed and nuclear sites were attacked. As both sides continue to trade threats, UN Chief Antonio Guterres has expressed deep concern over escalating tensions, calling for urgent diplomacy to prevent a potential military confrontation. The Iranian army, meanwhile, has bolstered its capabilities with 1,000 new strategic drones, while the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps continues to highlight its ability to retaliate against U.S. and Israeli targets if attacked. Iranian civilians express fear over the possibility of war, recalling recent protests and a nationwide communications blackout, and officials are taking steps to prepare civilian shelters and secure essential supplies in border provinces. Britain's Prime Minister Starmer described talks with Chinese leader Xi in Beijing as achieving significant progress on key issues. Starmer's visit comes as Britain faces a rift with its closest ally, the United States, following Trump's bid to seize Greenland and his brief threat of tariffs against Britain and other NATO allies. Trump, on the other side, criticized, saying it would be very dangerous for Britain to deal with China.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's visit to China is the latest in a series of recent top-level visits made by Western leaders to Beijing. In just this month alone, Beijing has hosted Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, Finnish Prime Minister Petteri Orpo, with each visit ending a long gap in top-level engagement. The visit is also the first by a British premier since Theresa May in 2018. It's seen as a chance to highlight the strength of British firms in finance, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, clean energy and car making. Starmer said really good progress has been made on issues including whiskey tariffs and visa-free travel after holding a meeting with China's leader Xi Jinping in Beijing.
We made some really good progress on tariffs for whiskey, on visa-free travel to China, and on information exchange and cooperation on irregular migration, focusing particularly on small boats and engine parts. So a very good constructive meeting with real outcomes, and that's very much in our national interest.
Chinese President Xi Jinping, meanwhile, aimed to show that China can be a reliable partner for Western economies as US President Donald Trump continues to rattle the global trading system. Agreements on visas, services, healthcare, green technology and finance, combined with revived dialogue, might lead to better access for British firms to Chinese markets and greater Chinese investment in the UK. The biggest commercial announcement came from AstraZeneca, which promised to invest $15 billion in China over the next 4 years to expand research and the manufacturing of medicines, the company's biggest investment in China to date. However, US President Donald Trump has criticized the UK's engagement with Beijing, warning it is very dangerous for Britain to pursue closer business ties with China and repeating similar rebukes aimed at other Western allies.
Well, it's very dangerous for them to do that, and it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China.
In response to Trump's remarks, UK's Downing Street indicated that Washington had been aware of this trip and its objectives in advance.
India has finalized a landmark trade deal with European Union after nearly 2 decades of talks, allowing free trade of goods and benefiting nearly 2 million people. The deal strengthens EU-India ties amid economic and geopolitical pressures, including ongoing trade tensions with the US. The European Union and India have announced a landmark trade deal after nearly 2 decades of on and off talks as both sides aim to deepen ties amid tensions with the United States. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa are in Delhi, where they met Modi at a bilateral summit. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi called the deal historic. It will allow free trade of goods between the bloc of 27 European countries and the world's most populous country, which together make up nearly 25% of global gross domestic product and a market of 2 billion people. The European Commission said the agreement would eliminate tariffs on chemicals, machinery and electrical equipment as well as aircraft and spacecraft following phased reductions. India's deal with the EU is said to lower cost for European products entering the country such as cars, machinery and agricultural food items after import duties are reduced. Delhi said almost all of its exports would get preferential access into the EU, with textiles, leather, marine products, handicrafts, gems and jewellery said to see a reduction or elimination of tariffs. Delhi and Brussels have also agreed on a mobility framework that eases restrictions for professionals to travel between India and EU in the short term. The trade deal comes as both India and the EU contend with economic and geopolitical pressures from the US. Delhi is grappling with 50% tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump last year amid talks aimed at securing a deal between India and the US that are still dragging on. Last week, Trump threatened to escalate his trade war with European allies for opposing a US takeover of Greenland before backing off. At least 16 have been killed in Bangladesh since the announcement of upcoming February 12 elections, raising fears of a return to widespread political violence. It is warned the violence can undermine public confidence, voters' turnout, and the overall credibility of the elections. At least 16 political activists have been killed since the announcement of Bangladesh's upcoming elections, raising concerns that the country may be returning to a climate of political violence. Observers say the killings linked to rival party clashes and local disputes have heightened tensions across the country and overshadowed campaigning. It is warned that the surge in violence could undermine public confidence in the electoral process. Officials have increased security measures in key areas, deploying additional police and paramilitary forces to prevent further incidents. Political parties have condemned the attacks, with some calling for investigations and stricter enforcement of law and order ahead of the polls. Election officials have stressed their commitment to holding peaceful and credible elections, but observers say continued violence could complicate voters' turnout and the administration of polling in volatile districts. It is said the violence reflects deep-rooted political rivalries in local and national election contests in Bangladesh. While in neighboring Pakistan, authorities have tightened their grip on dissent, targeting political figures, journalists and human rights advocates amid growing concerns over freedom of expression. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been denied visitors for weeks, while the conviction of lawyer Iman Mazari and her husband underscores growing pressure on critics. Human rights groups, including Amnesty International, have called on Pakistan to end measures that suppress free expression and intimidate defenders. According to his party PTI, Khan hasn't seen any visitors in more than 5 weeks, while his family say this is partly to stop his words reaching the outside world. The government says the meetings stopped because Khan broke jail rules prohibiting discussion of politics. While Khan may be silenced, he is far from the only one under the pressure. Last week, human rights lawyer Iman Mazari and her husband were convicted of sharing anti-state social media posts. The couple will spend 10 years in jail. Amnesty International, meanwhile, has called on Pakistan to end coercive tactics used to silence dissent and intimidate those who defend human rights. Pakistan's military, often referred to as the establishment, have been an ever-present factor in the country's politics, including periods of military dictatorship. In November 2025, a constitutional amendment granted Field Marshal Asim Munir lifetime immunity from prosecution and oversight of all Pakistan's forces. A deadly winter storm has blasted across the United States and parts of Canada with heavy snow and frigid temperatures, leaving millions struggling with life-disrupting conditions. U.S. officials have confirmed fatalities caused by hypothermia, traffic accidents on icy roads, and storm-related incidents has surpassed 30, with further deaths also reported in Canada.
The storm named Winter Storm Fern has knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses, grounded thousands of flights, and paralyzed transportation networks. In the United States alone, the system has affected more than half the population, prompting emergency declarations in multiple states, widespread school closures, and hazardous road conditions that have contributed to numerous fatalities and rescues. Airports from Dallas-Fort Worth to New York City reported massive flight cancellations, and utilities struggled to restore power amid ongoing ice accretion and sub-zero temperatures. Canada has also felt the brunt of the storm, with cities such as Toronto recording some of the highest snowfall totals in decades, disrupting transit, grounding flights, and complicating recovery efforts already underway in snow-burdened communities. Snow removal crews and emergency responders have been stretched thin as travel remains dangerous. Meteorologists warn frigid Arctic air and more severe weather to persist in the coming days, with extreme winter weather likely across the North America.
A Chinese research team has built an intercity quantum detection network to enhance the search for elusive dark matter, offering new insights into one of the universe's greatest mysteries.
A Chinese research team has constructed an intercity quantum detection network, significantly enhancing the precision of searching for elusive dark matter and lighting a new path toward unraveling one of the universe's greatest mysteries. The team has published the paper titled Constraints on Axion Dark Matter by Distributed Intercity Quantum Sensors in the international academic journal Nature on Thursday. While stars and planets constitute only about 4.9% of the universe's mass, dark matter, which does not emit, absorb, or reflect light, makes up an estimated 26.8%. This invisible neighbor reveals itself only through gravitational effects on galaxies, making its direct detection a monumental scientific challenge. To address this, the team built a network of 5 ultra-sensitive quantum sensors located in East China's Hefei City and Hangzhou City. The sensors are synchronized via satellite timing, forming a coordinated listening network dedicated to cosmic signals.
A dome-fronted submersible of Indonesia has begun deep-sea exploration missions to study little-known species and compounds with potential scientific and medical value. Operating from the research vessel Ocean Explorer, scientists are using advanced tools, including submersibles, ROVs, and aerial surveys to investigate Indonesia's highly biodiverse but threatened coral triangle waters. A dome-fronted submersible descended beneath the waves of Indonesia this month, embarking on a mission to explore the deep ocean and study species and compounds that could have potential scientific and medical applications. The submersible, capable of reaching depths of nearly 1,000 meters, is part of a broader effort to understand marine ecosystems that remain largely unexplored. The organization regularly brings scientists and researchers onto its flagship vessel, the Ocean Explorer, to study biodiversity, ocean health, and the impacts of pollution in remote marine environments. The Ocean Explorer is equipped with a host of scientific tools and infrastructure designed for deep-sea research. A helicopter aboard the vessel is used for aerial surveys to monitor surface conditions, while a remotely operated vehicle can descend to depths of up to 6,000 meters, far beyond the reach of conventional diving equipment. Indonesia's waters, part of Coral Triangle, are considered among the most biodiverse marine ecosystems in the world. Scientists aboard the Ocean Explorer noted that the region remains under threat from overfishing, habitat loss, and pollution, making expeditions like this critical for both scientific discovery and conservation efforts. Gaza's Al-Quds Hospital has resumed open-heart surgeries for the first time in more than 2 years after it was shut down due to war-related damages. The milestone offers rare hope for patients needing advanced care, even as health officials warn the hospital system remains under severe strain and dependent on limited medical support.
After being out of service for more than 2 years due to the war in Gaza, Al-Quds Hospital's cardiac surgery department has resumed operations, marking a major milestone for the besieged health system. Health officials said the department, along with its specialized medical teams, successfully carried out its first open-heart surgeries since the suspension of services. All of the procedures were reported to have been successful, offering a rare moment of relief and hope for patients in need of advanced cardiac care. The cardiac unit had been forced to shut down amid heavy fighting, damage to medical infrastructure, severe shortages of fuel and electricity, and restrictions on the entry of medical supplies and equipment. During the shutdown, many patients requiring complex heart surgery were left with limited or no access to life-saving treatment, as referrals outside Gaza were often impossible. Health officials also warned that the hospital system remains under severe pressure and that sustained access to medical supplies and support is crucial to keeping such critical services running. The reopening of the cardiac surgery department is seen as an important step toward restoring advanced medical care in Gaza, even as the broader humanitarian and healthcare crises continue to affect millions of residents.
Greenland's Sirius Patrol, a Danish military dog sled unit, plays a crucial role in monitoring and protecting the territory's sovereignty. The unit's operations underscore Greenland's rising geopolitical significance, driven by its strategic location, rare earth resources, and emerging Arctic shipping routes. Greenland lately has become a global headliner as President Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened to take control of the region, sparking international concerns and diplomatic pushback. The Danish military's dog sled team, known as the Sirius Patrol, which monitors Greenland's vast frozen northeast, is extremely effective at its surveillance role. The unit operates across one of the world's most inhospitable and sparsely populated regions, covering roughly 972,000 square kilometers of Arctic wilderness in northeastern Greenland. Using traditional dog sleds, patrol members monitor territorial integrity, environmental conditions, and foreign activity in the strategically sensitive area. Sebastian Rasmussen, a former Sirius Patrol member, defended the unit's effectiveness, saying its endurance and operational model have proven reliable for decades. His comments followed remarks by U.S. President Donald Trump, who recently mocked the patrol's role in safeguarding Greenland, reviving debate over Arctic security and the United States' interest in the region. Greenland, an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, has drawn increasingly geopolitical attention due to its strategic location, rare earth mineral potential, and emerging Arctic shipping routes as ice coverage declines. Patrol members rely heavily on self-sufficiency, navigating extreme temperatures that drop below minus 40 degrees Celsius with no immediate access to backup or infrastructure. Thousands of visitors flocked to Tokyo's Ueno Zoological Gardens to see Japan's last giant pandas, 4-year-old twins Xiao, Xiao, and Leilei, before they were sent back to China. Japan, with their departure, will have no giant pandas for the first time since 1972, when the animals were first brought to mark diplomatic ties with China.
Thousands of people have flocked to Tokyo's Ueno Zoological Gardens to see the sole remaining giant pandas in Japan for the last time 2 days before they are scheduled to be sent to China. Visitors bade farewell to 4-year-old twins Zhao Zhao and Leilei on Sunday. The viewing for people who were selected by lottery in advance and was limited to about 4,400, with around 25 times that figure applying for the chance. Lottery winners took videos and photos of the twins as they munched on bamboo and walked around as usual. A Tokyo resident in her 50s said she was able to see the two adorable pandas eating. She also said she is grateful as the animals have brought a lot of happiness. The panda twins, after arriving at a facility in China's Sichuan province, are scheduled to be shown to the public once their quarantine is over. After they leave, there will be no giant pandas in Japan for the first time since two arrived in 1972 to commemorate the normalization of diplomatic ties between Tokyo and Beijing.
American climber Alex Honnold completed a row-free ascent of Chinese Taipei's tallest building, Taipei 101, as crowds watched below and a global audience followed via a live Netflix broadcast. Known for his free solo climbing, Honnold described the climb as unusually accessible, while officials monitored the event for safety.
An American climber scaled Chinese Taipei's tallest building, Taipei 101, without ropes or safety gear, completing a high-risk ascent that drew hundreds of spectators to the base of the tower and a much larger audience watching via a live Netflix broadcast. The climber, Alex Honnold, is internationally known for his free solo ascents, a style of climbing performed without protective equipment. Honnold completed the ascent without incident, reaching the top of the 508-meter tower to cheers from onlookers below. After finishing the climb, he described the experience as unusually accessible compared with the previous expeditions to remote cliffs and mountains. Taipei 101, once the world's tallest building, remains one of Asia's most recognizable landmarks and is located in the heart of the capital's financial district. Officials said the event was closely monitored to ensure public safety and minimize disruption in the busy area. While fans praised the feat as a remarkable display of skill and composure, safety experts reiterated warnings about the dangers of climbing without protective equipment.
A promotional video of annual Spring Festival Gala, the world's most watched annual television broadcast, has been released by China Media Group. First launched in 1983, the gala has become a major cultural tradition featuring music, dance, comedy and opera, drawing hundreds of millions of viewers each year. Its global significance has further been solidified as the festival last year was added to UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List. China Media Group CMZ, the country's flagship state broadcaster, has released a short promotional video for its annual Spring Festival Gala, one of the most widely watched television events in the world. The program's reach has earned it recognition from Guinness World Records as the most watched annual television broadcast in the world. It will be broadcast live globally on the evening of the February the 16th. The Spring Festival, also known as Chinese New Year, marks the beginning of the lunar calendar and is the most important traditional holiday for Chinese people. The festival is typically observed with family reunions, holiday travel, festive meals, and cultural activities. For decades, watching the Spring Festival Gala has become a central part of the celebration in hundreds of millions of households across China. First broadcast in 1983, the Spring Festival Gala has grown into a large-scale live variety show featuring music, comedy, sketches, opera, and other performances. The release of the promotional video comes as Chinese authorities continue to emphasize the global cultural significance of the Spring Festival. Just over a year ago, the festival was inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity, recognizing its historical importance and enduring role in social life and cultural identity. Well, this brings us to the end of this episode of The World This Week. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing to you. We shall see you again next week with a new episode. Also, do follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com, our social media handles, as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
Nepal, a land of unparalleled natural beauty and rich heritage. Tucked in the heart of Himalayas, this small yet mighty country is a living tapestry of religious, cultural, and historical significance. The capital city of Kathmandu sits like a jewel at the crossroads of time, surrounded by towering peaks and the lush landscapes of Kathmandu Valley. The vibrant city is home to a unique blend of cultural families, each deeply rooted in the traditions that have shaped Nepal for centuries. Kathmandu is a city where history, religion, and art are not just preserved but actively celebrated. This city is also the proud home to 7 of the world's most significant cultural heritage sites,
all of which are recognized by UNESCO. For centuries, the people of Nepal have dreamed of sharing their nation's unique story with the world. And Nepal and its people have captured the world's attention and admiration. It is a place that draws people from every corner of the globe, inspiring awe with its ancient temples, stunning architecture, and deeply rooted spiritual legacy. In 1989, UNESCO declared 3 historical zones in Kathmandu as World Heritage Sites, including 2 Buddhist stupas and 2 Hindu temples. One such remarkable site is the Hanuman Thoka Darbar Square, a historical treasure located in the heart of Kathmandu Valley. The legacy of ancient kings is written in every stone of this sacred ground. From the reign of King Ratna Malla to that of mighty King Bir Bikram, Hanuman Thoka has been a central figure in the cultural and political life of Nepal. Here, the temple of Taleju, Jagannath, Shiva Parvati, the massive Thulo Ghanta, Kal Bhairav Shrine, Maiju Devo, and the Kumari Kal are among the most important landmarks. The intricacy of the temples, the carvings, the statues, and the entire architectural composition bear witness to the authenticity and craftsmanship of Nepalese art. The preservation of these artifacts is crucial as many of them are unique to Nepal and cannot be found anywhere else in the world. Each day, hundreds of international tourists visit this place not only to witness its beauty, but also to learn about its cultural and historical significance. Many scholars and academics visit Kathmandu to study the profound artistic and architectural heritage found in the city. Another historical gem is the Patan Darbar Square, an ancient palace complex that dates back to Malla dynasty. Located in the city of Patan, which is also known as the City of Art, the square is a testament to the creativity and devotion of Malla kings. Built during the 17th and 18th centuries, Patan's magnificent temples and palaces were commissioned by King Siddhi Narsingh, King Srinivas, and King Yoganendra Malla, whose influence is still visible in the area's grand architecture. Some of Patan's most famous landmarks include Mool Chowk, Sundari Chowk, Bhimsen Mandir, Krishna Mandir, Taleju, and Kumbheshwar Mandir. Among these, Sundari Chowk is an attraction in itself, and nearby Tusa Hiti Dhara, a traditional water spout, adds an authentic touch to the cultural experience. The Krishna Mandir, built in the distinct Shikhara style, is another highlight. This temple is particularly famous for its stone carvings depicting scenes from the Ramayana and Mahabharata, an absolute visual feast for visitors. For centuries, Patan has stood as a symbol of artistic excellence.
The Rato Machinanath Jatra, a festival celebrated not only as the pride of Lalitpur, but also recognized globally for its cultural significance, had just concluded. This year, beginning on May 18, we launched a 40-day campaign showcasing the grandeur of the procession. The participation throughout the festival was truly encouraging. Last year, we welcomed around 200,000 visitors. This year, by mid-June alone, the footfall has already surpassed 225,000. This achievement fills us with immense pride, while also reminding us that there is still much more to accomplish. We currently offer a guided tour from Patan Dhoka to museum, completely free of cost, with the aim of establishing our heritage as a living part of our collective identity. Patan Museum has long been committed to safeguarding both the tangible and intangible cultural heritage of this region. It serves not only as a local exhibition space, but as a vital destination dedicated to preserving and celebrating the culture of this historic city. Our tangible inheritances, many of them dating back to the Lichavi era, stand as remarkable non-living heritage, while our festivals, rituals and processions embody the vibrancy of our living traditions. Both forms of heritage are invaluable to us. It is our responsibility to protect them, nurture them, and ensure they pass down to the future generations with the same reverence with which we receive them. International tourists travel to Nepal to experience the richness of our natural and cultural heritage. Our historical buildings, artifacts, sacred idols form an integral part of that experience. Many visitors take the time to explore, observe, and fully immerse themselves in the stories these treasures hold.
Established by the King Bardev, the city was originally known as Lalitpuri Adinath. It was not just the royal home, but the administrative heart of the region. The intricate woodwork, the timeless architecture, and the thriving cultural scene make Patan a perfect example of Nepal's historical richness. Bhaktapur, another ancient city, takes its place among the jewels of Nepal. Known for its stunning art, culture, and architecture, Bhaktapur is a city that has preserved its medieval charm. According to Gopal Raj's genealogy, the city was established by King Anandadev. The Bhaktapur Darbar Square is one of the most captivating sites, with attractions like Singhadwar, Swarnadwar, Chardham, and Nyatapol Mandir. Among these, the Pachmanna Jhale Darbar, or the palace with 55 windows, stands out as an iconic symbol of Bhaktapur's rich history. This palace, originally built during King Yakshamalla's reign and later reconstructed by King Bhupatendra in the 17th century, is one of the finest examples of the Malla period's architectural prowess. The art gallery within the palace is also a significant attraction for tourists and art lovers. The cultural heritage of Bhaktapur is alive and well.
Now we are in Bhaktapur and we are very surprised about the city. It's like incredible. Imagine that from how long this city has been with human beings and culture around. So we are very impressed. Probably it's one of the most beautiful cities that we ever seen. The construction, the architecture is very nice. The bricks, that is like all the city made from bricks and wood. And the people also is very happy, very friendly. You can move easily from anywhere because they have transport for everywhere. Take a long time be in the road because the roads are not so good, but you can do to any place. So it's very easy to move. It's very beautiful to see, and it's very satisfied for your heart. This kind of culture.
Bhaktapur, who is one of the most beautiful cities that I never seen before. It's a very ancient city. Some temples were constructed like in 12th century. So you feel like in other time, and you can walk a lot of days, and you can see the smile of the people, the street, this history. So we are very impressed and happy to came to this country. Every day I send pictures to them, to my family, and they are so impressive too. I think that this country is a very complete country to spend a holiday or a long trip, wherever you can do. You can be in different parts with different views and history and culture. So I invite all you to come to Nepal and enjoy this beautiful place.
From the Kumars who craft their signature mud products to the intricate wooden crafts that define the city, Bhaktapur offers a window into traditional lifestyle of the Malla era. The famous black cap, Bhatgaule topi, worn by Nepali men, also originates here, a small yet meaningful piece of cultural pride. On the spiritual front, Pashupatinath Temple is one of the most revered religious sites in Nepal and across the Hindu world. The temple, built in pagoda style, stands as a beacon of faith for millions of Hindus worldwide. It is believed that a pilgrimage to Pashupatinath is equivalent to visiting 4 sacred dhams of India. Built by King Bhupatendra Malla, this temple serves as a center of worship for a diverse array of spiritual communities, including Buddhists, Jains, Sikhs, and others. The Pashupatinath complex is rich with temples, shrines, and sacred sites, each one steeped in centuries of religious history. One of the most significant festivals here is Shivaratri, a grand celebration of Lord Shiva that attracts thousands of devotees from around the world. Every year, during the special month of Shravan, the temple hosts vibrant rituals and ceremonies, drawing pilgrims to witness these sacred observances. The surrounding Slaes-Mantak forest adds to the serene atmosphere of Pashupatinath. The temple's unique wooden structures, gilded pinnacles, and the bronze statue of Nandi at the entrance all contribute to the spiritual ambience. The daily evening lighting ceremony at the Pashupatinath is a tranquil and profound experience for both locals and international visitors alike. Swambhunath, also known as the Monkey Temple, is another spiritual landmark in Kathmandu. Perched atop the Padmakantagiri hill, this ancient stupa offers sweeping views of the entire valley. The temple is especially important for Buddhists who revere it as a place of profound spiritual significance. Legends say it was here that the Bipasri Buddha meditated, marking the beginning of Kathmandu Valley's spiritual foundation. Swambhunath's two all-seeing eyes, which watch over the valley, are a powerful symbol of justice and wisdom. Visitors who climb the 365 steps to reach the stupa are greeted not only by the temple's beauty, but by the entire history of Nepal, etched in every stone and statue. The region also houses a museum and a library, both offering further insight into Nepal's religious and cultural past. Equally impressive is the Bodhanath Stupa, one of the largest in South Asia. Built in the 5th century, the stupa is a testament to Nepal's enduring connection to Tibetan Buddhism. The legend surrounding Bodhanath's construction is as captivating as its physical presence. It is said that the king, upon being asked if the stupa could be built, mistakenly replied in the affirmative, leading to the creation of this sacred monument. Bodhanath has become a hub for the Tibetan Buddhist community, especially during Losar festival, celebrated by Sherpa people. Its significance stretches beyond Nepal, linking the country to broader Buddhist world. The Changunarayan temple, located on the outskirts of Bhaktapur, is another example of Nepal's ancient cultural heritage. Built in the 4th century BCE, it is one of the oldest Hindu temples in Kathmandu Valley. Its intricate woodwork, stunning carvings and inscriptions make it a true architectural marvel. Dedicated to Lord Vishnu, the temple is a site of pilgrimage for Hindus and is also renowned for its artistry and craftsmanship. Kathmandu's heritage is not just a relic of the past, it is a living, breathing part of the city's identity. Both the local government and the people of Nepal continue to prioritize the preservation and promotion of these ancient sites, welcoming visitors from around the world to explore and appreciate the rich cultural and historical legacy of this beautiful land.
Preparations for March 5 polls in full swing as ballot printing near completion. PM Karki says election will be held in a single phase. Candidates canvassing across the country empty-handed, wait and watch approach in publishing election manifesto. Surge in violent robberies threatens Kathmandu Valley ahead of elections. Escaped inmates and stretched police resources fuel organized crime. Ukrainian and Russian negotiator holds second day of U.S. mediated talks in Abu Dhabi. U.S. envoy Witkoff says both sides agree on fresh prisoner swap. China refuses to join nuclear arms talks. Such remarks come as expiry of the U.S.-Russian New START treaty triggers fears of renewed global arms race. And Nepal beats Canada by 6 wickets in T20 World Cup warm-up match to face England in its World Cup opener on Sunday. Good evening, I'm Suveksha Rajak and you are watching NTV World News Hour, coming up to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now, the news in details. Ballot papers for March 5 House of Representatives election are almost ready. The Election Commission has completed printing for 60 constituencies, totaling over 7.26 million ballots, with packing finishing for 25 districts. High priority printing has been done for remote and high altitude areas, and distribution to districts is planned from February 8 to February 15 using trucks and helicopters where necessary. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Susila Karki, after inspecting the printing at Janak Education Material Centre in Sanotimi, confirmed that the election will be held on the scheduled day in a single phase. With all preparations complete, the Prime Minister reminded citizens that now it's up to them to cast their votes. Election manifesto has emerged as a bone of contention among most of the political parties contesting the March 5 election House of Representatives election. Though the Election Code of Conduct and House of Representatives election directive gives time for parties to bring their manifesto, canvassing should also start only after the document is published. As per the directives, the parties must publish their manifestos 15 days before the polling starts. Technically, the parties still have time, but the same directive mandates parties to start canvassing after the publication of the manifesto. In spirit, the regulation aims to ensure that parties do make written pledge so that the people can judge them based on their politics and programs. We will look into these details in the issue of the day, why the parties haven't published the election manifesto till date. And more we delve in our issue of the day later in the program. Now, Kathmandu Valley is seeing a surge in robberies and organized crime linked to prisoners who escaped during the Gen Z protest. Police say criminal networks are exploiting reduced patrolling as security forces focus on upcoming elections. Late-night operations have led to arrest accused of multiple thefts and robberies. Authorities warn that looted weapon recovery remains a top priority. Meanwhile, damaged CCTV cameras and destroyed criminal records during the protest are making crime tracking harder, leaving citizens concerned about public safety. We will look into this in our cover story later in the program. Now we have Ukrainian and Russian negotiators held a second day of U.S. mediated talks in the United Arab Emirates aimed at ending Moscow's nearly 4-year invasion of Ukraine. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff said the two sides agreed on a new prisoner exchange, calling the talks productive while emphasizing that substantial work remains to bridge wider differences. No details, however, have been released on the number of prisoners involved or the timing of the exchange. Core disputes, including territorial control, security guarantees, and ceasefire arrangements, remain unresolved, according to officials. China rejected calls to enter talks on a new nuclear treaty after United States-Russian agreement expired on ending decades of restrictions on how many warheads the two powers can deploy. Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian, during a regular media briefing, said China's nuclear capabilities of a totally different scale as those of United States and Russia will not participate in nuclear disarmament negotiations at this stage. The U.S. has said any new nuclear agreement would have to include China, whose nuclear arsenal is rapidly expanding, but international efforts to draw Beijing to the negotiating table have so far failed. Russia and the U.S. together control more than 80% of the world's nuclear warheads. Campaigners, meanwhile, have warned that the expiry of the New START treaty could trigger a global arms race, urging nuclear powers to end negotiations. Nepal has registered a 6-wicket victory over Canada in its second warm-up match of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Indian city of Chennai. Chasing a target of 162, Nepal reached 162 for 4 in 18 overs with 12 balls to spare, riding on aggressive batting by Asif Sheikh and Sandeep Zora. Asif top scored with 58 off just 29 balls, striking 6 fours and 3 sixes, while Zora provided solid support with a fluent 44 off 30 deliveries. Earlier, Canada posted 161 for 6 in its allotted 20 overs after opting to bat. Navneet Dhaliwal scored 41, while wicketkeeper Shreyas Mova remained unbeaten on 38 off 19 balls to give Canada a competitive total. The win followed Nepal's 7-wicket victory over the UAE earlier this week and marked a strong end to their warm-up fixtures ahead of the World Cup. Nepal, meanwhile, will open its T20 World Cup campaign against England on Sunday at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. With just 28 days left for the March 5 elections, most of the parties haven't released their election manifestos yet. We have an in-depth coverage on this in our issue of the day. Do stay tuned with us. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. An election manifesto is more than a campaign document. It is a political party's contract with voters, spelling out promises, priorities and accountability. But as Nepal heads toward the March 5 polls, that contract remains unsigned for most major parties. Is Nepal's March 5 election becoming a choice of personalities rather than policies for voters? Sarah Sapsanamarai reports.
With the March 5 House of Representatives election days away, major political parties in Nepal are on the ground almost halfway through their campaign, courting voters at their doorsteps. However, the candidates are empty-handed, without any political documents that is central to the election campaign anywhere around the world. Strikingly, most of them from Nepali Congress with its younger leadership, CPNUML led by seasoned veterans, Pushpakamal Dahal coordinated Nepali Communist Party to the much talked about Rashtriya Swatantra Party that is fielding popular candidates. They have yet to formally announce their election manifestos. So the question is obvious. What exactly are these parties promising voters without a written roadmap? So far, only Netra Bikramchand-led Communist Party has unveiled its manifesto, pledging to dismantle what it calls capitalist, broker-driven and imperialist policies. But the Election Commission confirms none have officially registered their manifesto yet.
Till the date, no political parties have submitted their election manifestos. The Section 37 of Election Code of Conduct 2082 says that all the political parties and candidates should prepare and publicize their election manifestos for the concern of common people, and also they should submit one copy of election manifesto to the Election Commission Nepal.
Party representatives, however, say manifesto drafting is in its final stage, with many adopting a wait-and-watch strategy, hoping perhaps to outmaneuver rivals once the first major document is unveiled.
If there are written promises that will serve as information to the common people, apart from that, it will also serve as a document of accountability. Similarly, this will help the common people to know what sort of change they are voting for, and in case the party they voted for is able to form the government, they will be able to press for the promises they made. In the absence of these manifestos, the common, the candidates will speak for themselves, and hundreds of candidates from the same party, when they speak for themselves in different corner meetings, obviously they will not leave any imprint for public policy. It is going to be a difficult thing even for the political parties who will be in opposition, because they will not be able to call for public accountability when they know that the party which is forming government does not know how it is going to govern.
As election day nears, the delay shifts the focus from policies to personalities, leaving voters to make choices without seeing the full promises on paper. Sarah Sapsanamarai for NTV World, Kathmandu.
As political parties still wait public their manifestos, we ask a candidate about the delay and how it is affecting their canvassing. Let's hear them out in Public Pulse segment.
We are already engaged in informal election campaigning and will conduct door-to-door campaigns in compliance with the directives of the Election Commission. It may seem late, but it is not too late. Our party will release its election manifesto in the first week of Fagun, focusing on building a prosperous Nepal and happy Nepali.
Nepal's Prime Minister Susila Karki has clarified that the House of Representatives election will be held on the scheduled date. After monitoring the ballot printing site at the Janak Educational Materials Centre in Bhaktapur, Sanothimi today, Prime Minister Karki assured that the election will be completed in a single phase and urged everyone to remain confident.
चुनाव आयो फरक पर्दैन एउटै एकै दिनमा हुन्छ चुनाव दुईचोटी हुनेवाला कहीं छैन एकै दिनमा हुन्छ कहीं कहीं त्यस्तो हुँदैन तोकिएको मितिमा त्यही दिनमा चुनाव आउँछ मलाई जहाँसम्म लाग्छ मौसम पनि राम्रो हुन्छ मैले जे कुरो गर्दै जाँदा हरेक कुरो जो अगाडि बढ्दै गइरहेछ राम्रो 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 मात्रै भइरहेछ मलाई त्यो लागेको छ कि एकदम सब राम्रो हुन्छ हामी सबैले मतदान गर्न पाउँछौं र त्यसको रिजल्ट आउँछ रिजल्टमा पछि चाहिँ सरकार बन्छ हामी थपक्क हस्तान्तरण गर्छौं र आफ्नो घरतिर जान्छौं.
These days, robberies and organized crimes are on the rise in Kathmandu Valley as escaped prisoners take advantage of police stretched. This for election. Police have recovered looted gold, cash and weapons. However, they warn the security gap is far from closed. We have more on this in our cover story. Do stay tuned with us. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. As Nepal gears up for the March 5 elections, Kathmandu Valley is facing a surge in robberies and organized crime, with escaped prisoners from the Gen Z protest reportedly behind many incidents. Police say stretched election duties and damaged CCTV networks have created security gaps, allowing criminal networks to exploit the capital and beyond. A look up by Sabika Shrestha.
As the country's focus shifts to March 5 House of Representatives election, social order seems to be disturbed of late, especially in federal capital Kathmandu. Surge in criminal activities including theft and looting has been fueled by escaped inmates during the Gen Z protests and also the larger scale deployment of security personnel for upcoming elections. Late Thursday night, Kathmandu police opened fire to arrest Prem Chaudhary of Banki at Nagarjun Municipality 6, Mahankal, recovering 65 tolas of gold, silver, cash and homemade weapons. Police said Chaudhary linked to a string of thefts across Bhotebahal, Bauddha Tushal, Kalimati and parts of Lalitpur attack officers during the arrest attempt. Police shot Chaudhary in the leg after they were attacked, leaving one police constable injured. Just days earlier, police carried out another late-night operation in Mulpani, arresting 23-year-old Binay Tamang, the leader of an active organized robbery gang active across the Kathmandu Valley. Tamang had escaped police custody during the Gen Z protest and is accused of orchestrating at least 22 robbery incidents within 3 months.
The inmates, they were absconded from the jail at the time of Gen Z movement, and they are involving in the theft case, robbery case, because of they are most trained and skillful theft. And almost 90% weapons we recovered, and most of other weapons we are on process to recover and find out. And every day our prime responsibility is to recover the looted weapons, because it's a very much prime challenge for us, to the whole society.
The impact of escaped prisoners is not limited to the capital, with similar incidents of robbery reported across the country. Though police says that more than 90% of the looted weapons during the Gen Z movement has already been recovered, the deployment of security personnel for March 5 election is another major region.
कैदीहरुको पनि इन्भल्भमेन्ट छ। विशेष गरेर काठमाडौँमा हुने चोरीमा चाहिँ अधिकांश पटके चोरहरू, चोरी कार्यमा संलग्न पटकेहरू भएको देखिन्छ। 2082 सालको भाद्रमा भएको, भाद्र 23 र 24 मा भएको घटना, त्यसमा भएको तोडफोड, आगजनीमा हाम्रा जिल्ला प्रहरी परिसर लगायत विभिन्न पुलिस युनिटहरुमा रहेका आपराधिक अभिलेखहरू चाहिँ नष्ट भए, सरकारी वकिल कार्यालयमा रहेका आपराधिक अभिलेखहरू पनि नष्ट भए, अदालतमा भएका पनि आपराधिक अभिलेखहरू नष्ट भयो, हाम्रो पहिचान पनि अब हुँदैन भन्ने एउटा मानसिकतामा रहेर आफ्नो गतिविधिलाई अगाडि बढाएको चाहिँ यो पर्टिकुलर घटनाले देखाउँछ।
In addition to the election deployment of security personnel, the CCTV coverage that Nepali police had across major cities, including capital Kathmandu, is near obsolete. According to Nepal police, of the 1,500 total CCTV cameras vandalized during the 2 days of protest, only 800 have been restored so far. Though cases of robbery and theft have visibly increased in major cities, Nepal police claims that cases compared to last fiscal year is slightly lower. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Surendra Acharya reporting for NTV World.
Now, Nepal's state-owned telecommunication service provider Telecom is preparing to expand its 5G services. The company has stated that preparations have begun to roll out the service simultaneously across all 77 districts of the country. While 4 remote areas in Humla and Mugu are yet to receive the service, the telecom giant has already tested 5G in 5 locations 2 years ago and is now in the final phase of nationwide rollout. Nepal Telecom stated that the study report for the expansion of 5G services has been prepared and the project is now in its final phase. Similarly, Nepal Telecom is establishing its first data centers, one in Kathmandu Valley and another in Bhairava, aimed at supporting advanced digital services and enhancing network reliability, echoing similar initiatives by telecom companies worldwide. Currently, Nepal Telecom serves nearly 60 million mobile SIM users and over 839,000 landline, Wi-Fi and cable customers. Its fiber to the home FTTH network has reached more than 2.26 million users, positioning the country to participate in the global digital economy. Nepal's Department of Commerce, Supplies and Consumer Protection has directed producers, importers and distributors to stop sudden and unjustified price hikes in daily consumer goods. In a press statement issued on Wednesday, the department instructed all concerned parties to control unnecessary price increases and maintain a competitive and fair market system. It said major producers, importers and distributors of food grains and edible oil have been told to supply goods without making unfair profits and to provide relief to consumers by addressing unnatural prices hike. The department said its serious attention has been drawn to consumer complaints and media reports regarding abnormal price increases and shortages of essential items including edible oil, cooking gas and staple rice. As part of this joint effort, joint market monitoring is being carried out to inspect producers, sellers, importers, stockpilers and service providers involved in essential and daily consumable goods across the country, says the department. Nepal's 15-day water bird census held in January has counted 90,688 birds of 89 species, which is down from 96,565 birds of 94 species in 2025. The census, part of the Asian Waterbird Census coordinated by Wetlands International since 1987, aims to track migratory and water bird populations, accesses wetland health and promote conservation awareness. Led by the Department of National Parks and Wildlife Conservation with the Nepal's Ornithologist Association, the survey covered 18 major wetlands and several smaller sites. Experts say the decline to wetland encroachment, habitat loss, invasive species and excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Major census sites include Koshi Tapu, Chitwan, Bake, Pardia, Sukla Fat, Rara and lakes across Kathmandu, Pokhara and Lumini areas. Nearly a decade after the devastating 2015 earthquake, reconstruction of Nepal's historic Dharara monuments remain incomplete. Despite repeated extensions, the project has seen 8 deadline extensions, with the country's Ministry of Urban Development reporting 88% financial and 89% physical progress so far. The construction highlights the challenge of government-led projects. The old Dharara collapsed during the earthquake and a contract for the new tower was awarded on September 30, 2018, with completion initially planned for October 6, 2020. However, repeated delays due to the land acquisition issues, removal of tax department and employees, Provident Fund billings, and shortages of construction materials have pushed the timeline repeatedly. The latest extension moves the deadline to April 2026. Despite delays, significant progress have been made, with the main column of the tower coming into operation. An average of 1,400 visitors per day visit the Dharara monument. However, visitors point out that the surrounding historic Sundara area is still under construction. It has limited the tower's full heritage appeal. Now, the much-anticipated Falgunanda trekking route in eastern Nepal's Ilam district is being much anticipated. The project, expected to come into operation by 2020, it promises a rich cultural, spiritual and natural experience. Rojina Rai with our local correspondent Sujan Timsina from Ilam brings more.
Construction of the 56-kilometer Falgunanda trekking route, primarily in the eastern districts of Nepal, Ilam and Pasthar, has been accelerated. The trekking route is expected to be complete by 2028, with construction particularly intensified along the streets from Maipokhari to Chintapu. The trail, starting from Fidim in Pasthar, was surveyed last year. The project is a joint initiative of the federal, provincial and local governments. Once completed, the Falgunanda trek will connect Maipokhari, Chintapu and Sandakpur, offering a rich cultural and spiritual experience through the scenic landscapes of eastern Nepal. Named after the revered Kirat leader and national luminary Falgunanda Lingdil, the trail is expected to attract visitors interested in both spiritual and cultural tourism.
हाम्रो सन्दकपुरमा 15.6 किलोमिटर जम्मा रहेछ हैन यो पाली लगभग हामी 7.5 किलोमिटर जति यो पाली हाम्रो बन्छ यो ट्रेल अनि परिधिको संरचना पनि हामी लगभग 2-3 किलोमिटरको अराउन्डमा हामी बनाउने छौं.
The trail is expected to attract visitors interested in both spiritual and cultural tourism. Construction is currently underway in 4 sections, with the 7 kilometers planned for development within Ilam district. Local consumer committees are overseeing 3 trail construction and rehabilitation projects, along with 1 peripheral infrastructure initiative. According to Sam Rai, Secretary of the Construction Committee, the route will create local employment opportunities, support homestay business, and foster broader community development. In addition to promoting religious tourism, the enthusiasm of the locals in expediting the construction of the natural trails comes amid track records of delays in most of the projects in the country. The project is a rare example of all 3 tiers of government's involvement, along with the financial aid from the Swiss government. Rosina Rai with the local correspondent Susan Timisina from Ilam reporting for NTV World.
International news coming up next. For now, a recap of headlines. Preparations for March 5 polls in swing. As ballots printing near completion, PM Karki says election will be held in a single phase. Candidates canvassing across the country empty-handed, wait and watch approach in publishing election manifesto. Surge in violent robberies threatens Kathmandu Valley ahead of elections. Escaped inmates and stretched police resources fuel organized crime spike. Ukrainian and Russian negotiator hold second day of US-mediated talks in Abu Dhabi. US envoy Witkoff says both sides agree on fresh prisoner swap. China refuses to join nuclear arms talks. Such remarks comes as expiry of the US-Russian New START treaty triggers fears of renewed global arms race. And Nepal beats Canada by 6 wickets in T20 World Cup warm-up match to face England in its World Cup opener on Sunday. In the international update, we have British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has apologized to victims of the convicted lead sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, saying sorry for having believed Mandelon's lies and appointing him. Speaking in East Sussex, the Prime Minister adds that he will pursue the truth and will do everything with our power and in the interest of justice to ensure accountability is delivered.
I am sorry. Sorry for what was done to you. Sorry that so many people with power failed you. Sorry for having believed Mandelson's lies and appointed him. We will pursue the truth. We will uphold the integrity of public life. And we will do everything within our power and in the interests of justice to ensure accountability is delivered.
U.S. President Donald Trump said that he would not have picked former Federal Reserve official Kevin Warsh as the central bank's new chief if Warsh were not in step with lowering interest rates. In an interview with NBC News, Trump said Warsh understands that he wished for him to cut rates.
New Fed pick understand that you want him to lower interest rates?
Oh, I think he does, but I think he wants to anyway. I mean, if he came in and said, I want to raise them,
if he said that, he wouldn't have gotten the job.
He would not have gotten the job, no.
Is there any doubt in your mind that interest rates are going to be lowered?
Not much.
Why? How can you say that?
I just think they're going to be lowered. I mean, they should.
Is your new Fed pick on board with that?
We're way high. Okay, we're way high in interest. We have now, with me and with all the money, I've always been good at money. And with all the money coming into our country, we're a rich country again.
Now, Spain's emergency services rescued residents from flood waters in parts of southern Spain after heavy rain forced thousands of people to evacuate their homes. The flooding was triggered by Storm Leonardo, which brought more than 40 centimeters of rain in 24 hours to parts of Spain and neighboring Portugal, overwhelming rivers, roads and drainage systems. Regional emergency services said rescue teams used boats and high-clearance vehicles to reach stranded residents, while local governments ordered evacuations in low-lying areas as water levels continued to rise. In Portugal, authorities confirmed that one person was killed as a result of the floods, while no fatalities were immediately reported in Spain. Storm Leonardo is the latest in the series of extreme weather events to hit southern Europe, where scientists say climate change is increasingly the intensity and frequency of heavy rainfall. A Chinese team has unveiled a full-size humanoid robot capable of running at 10 meters per second, thus outsprinting most humans. The robot, called Bolt, named after Jamaican sprint legend Usain Bolt, stands 175 centimeters tall and weighs 75 kilograms. It is designed to mimic human proportions while pushing the physical boundaries of bipedal movement. This achievement marks a significant breakthrough in robot locomotion, control, dynamic balance, and high-performance drive systems, according to the developers. Wang Hongtao, head of the institute and founder of Mirror Me, and the red-painted metallic android competed against each other on treadmills. A released video clip shows that while the robot took shorter strides, it was able to move at a faster cadence than Wang. The team previously set a speed record for quadruped robots in 2025 with its Black Panther, which reached a speed of more than 10 meters per second. Pokemon's first ever permanent theme park, Pokemon Kanto, has opened in Tokyo, marking a major expansion of the globally popular franchise as Japan experiences a long surge in inbound tourism. The park is located within Yomiuri Land, Tokyo's largest amusement park, and is designed to attract both domestic visitors and international fans of the Pokemon brand, which was launched nearly 3 decades ago and has grown into one of the world's most valuable media franchises. The opening comes as Japan's tourism sector continues to rebound strongly, with the government reporting records visitor numbers driven by a weaker yen and pent-up demand following pandemic-era travel restrictions. Authorities and businesses have increasingly turned to pop culture attractions to draw tourists beyond traditional sightseeing destinations. Pokémon, which originated as a video game series in 1996, has since expanded into animation, films, merchandise, and mobile gaming, with a fan base spanning multiple generations worldwide. Now, the population of Caribbean reef shark classified as endangered on the International Union of Conservation of Nature (IUCN) Red List has declined across parts of the Caribbean region. The species decline comes amid broader environmental pressures affecting the Caribbean Sea, where coral reefs, which account for about 10% of the world's total coral reef systems, are also deteriorating rapidly. According to a study by the Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network, hard coral cover in the Caribbean fell by 48% between 1980 and 2024. Scientists attribute the losses to a combination of climate change, rising sea temperatures, pollution, overfishing, and coastal development. Marine experts warn that the decline of coral reefs threatens biodiversity and fisheries while also undermining natural coastal protection. Business news coming up next. For now, a short break.
The Bank of England has held interest rates at 3.75% after a knife-edge vote, but has opened the door to cuts later this year. Borrowing costs were widely expected to be unchanged after the bank reduced them from 4% in December. Bank of England's Governor Andrew Bailey reiterated his forecast that inflation, which measures the pace of price growth, will fall close to bank's 2% target from April onwards, against a previous expectation that it would hit that level in 2027.
Recent developments provide more confidence that inflation is on track to return to the target soon. But we need to ensure that inflation falls all the way back to the 2% target and stays there. So today we've held bank rate at 3.75%.
The bank said policies announced in the budget, such as cuts to household energy bills as well as lower wholesale gas prices, are expected to ease the inflation. The US has launched an effort to form a trade zone for critical minerals that are key to making everything from smartphones to weapons, as it tries to break China's dominance of the industry. On Wednesday, the US State Department hosted the first critical minerals ministerial event, which was attended by countries and organizations, including the UK, European Union, Japan, India, South Korea, Australia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Delegates discussed the availability and access to minerals crucial to the manufacture of things like computer chips and EV batteries. The mining and processing of such critical minerals, which include rare earths, is dominated by China. Indonesia reported its best economic expansion in 3 years in 2025 as growth accelerated more than expected in the fourth quarter, official data showed on Thursday. Southeast Asia's biggest economy grew 5.11% annually in 2025, up from 5.03% a year earlier. It was the highest annual growth rate since 2022, but still below the government's target. The Indonesian government wants its $1.4 trillion economy to grow by 8% by 2029. Retailers at China's trade markets are reporting a surge in demand for horse-themed products as the Lunar New Year approaches. Items including the viral Crying Horse Plus, a production error toy that gained social media fame, are selling out rapidly, illustrating the growing influence of internet trends on consumers' spending. Interestingly, pop culture icons are also driving the sales. This trend highlights a new frontier in China's consumer goods sector, where e-commerce platforms and social media directly impact the spike of sales.
Now the sports updates. Canada defeated the Czech Republic 10-5 in the curling mixed doubles, the first competition. Meanwhile, one day before the opening ceremony of the Milan Cortina 2026 Winter Olympic Games, organizers installed the Olympic cauldron beneath Milan's Arch of Peace, unveiling a design inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's iconic knot motifs. The installation marks one of the final steps in preparations for the Games, which officially begin Friday with the opening ceremony in Milan. The cauldron is set to be lit during the ceremony, symbolizing the start of the international sporting event that will feature competitions across Italy's Lombardy and Veneto regions. The Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympic Games will feature approximately 3,500 athletes from 93 countries, competing in 116 events across 16 disciplines from February. Now the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. Before we wrap up, once again the headlines. Preparations for March 5 polls in swing as ballots printing near completion. PM Karki says election will be held in a single phase. Candidates canvassing across the country empty-handed, wait and watch approach in publishing election manifesto. Surge in violent robberies threatens Kathmandu Valley ahead of elections. Escaped inmates and stretched police resources fuel organized crime spikes. Ukrainian and Russian negotiator holds second day of U.S. mediator talks in Abu Dhabi. U.S. envoy Witkoff says both sides agree on fresh prisoner swap. China refuses to join nuclear arms talks. Such remarks comes as expiry of the U.S.-Russian New START treaty triggers fears of renewed global arms race. And Nepal beats Canada by 6 wickets in T20 World Cup warm-up match to face England in its World Cup opener on Sunday. That's all for the moment here on NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media platforms and get connected in our latest website, www.nepaltelevision.com. I'm Suveksha Rajak, and thank you so much for staying with us. Good evening.
between the notes. It's the silence. I don't think you can change the country. It's not a. I think it's good to start with your own home, you know, your own room. Can you do some changes in your own room? So I'm working in my own room.
Fixing your internet.
So you can play the same note. For example, just give you a little bit of an example, Sudan, of this. Sounds very Nepali.
Right.
And it could be anywhere on the mountain. But if I did.
That's the signature of
That's,
Manus Newana. Let's talk about the Grammy moment. What was it like?
Oh my God. Well, you know, it was 2020. It was blessings. I've been very blessed to also to collaborate with some Westerner musicians. One of them was Deva Pramal and Miten. They were, you know, Miten and Deva, they were very inspired by Eastern philosophy. Also, actually, they were very inspired by Osho's world. And through that, they got to learn a lot about the mantras and the beauty of what our music can bring to the people. And I went to Los Angeles to be there with 10,000 people in the Staple Arena. It was amazing. I wore a Nepali dress and put instead of kukri, I put my bansuri. Wow. It was proudly. I felt